What is up, guys? Welcome to the Transparency. This is a rarity. So if you happen to catch us live, congratulations. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. I'll be your host, Alana. In chat, I want to say this episode is dedicated to True Tam and Nancy S. I guess I'll probably say Bumblebee as well. Want to thank my mods for being here, Mike Droppin and the crew. Miss Kelly, see you guys' names. Again, New Orleans lady. Wow, what a blast from the past. Yep, you very rarely see this. But one of the very first cases that I ever publicly was involved with was the Chris Watts case. But the work product has never been seen in terms of from Hector the Projector. All my work on the Watts case came in numerous binders put together for actually lawyers out in Denver. I actually made a trip to Denver, met up with Ronnie Watts for the purpose of helping him and finding out there was a lot of unanswered questions that the Watts family had. And I was just able to follow the evidence and uncover that law enforcement flat out manipulated digital evidence. I found it, I uncovered it, and I'm going to show you some of that here today, some that has never been seen before. But first, take a look. Hello and welcome to Truth and Transparency. Good afternoon, welcome to the Transparency. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Not sure if this is working, but...
Today is not a day to celebrate. But the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi.
Take care, Miss Vargas. See you soon, Miss Vargas. Paparazzi, stop. Again, welcome back. All right. Again, this was, I've never moved so fast to watch a live. I have to go ahead and throw that up there. Bumblebee. Love this woman. Fabulous woman. Just a brief little clip about this is there is a disclaimer down there. And anybody that wants to say that I think that Chris Watts is innocent, then you are blind, deaf, and dumb. So there's that banner that's running across if you need to read that. If you can't read and because you're blind, you need to listen. I went ahead and said it for you. Number two, quickly, I have no idea why Plunder is being attacked due to her wanting to give a review of Cadle's shit books. Cheryl and Cadle, first of all, can't spell, number one. Number two, I think she has trouble formulating sentences. And number three, the people that Cadle has surrounded herself during the Watts time that she has spent are all the ones that have put out nothing but ridiculous. That's why I hated YouTube, was because of the Watts case. Because I said, who in the fuck watches YouTube and watches these pathetic excuses to cover anything, because it's all lies. I mean, y'all didn't even read the discovery and y'all are covering the Chris Watts case. Like, Colorado put out the discovery and none of y'all covered the discovery. Think about that. Now, so that was my huge turnoff with YouTube, was just like, I cannot believe people like actually waste their time and watch creators make up stuff and like listen to this. Like I was blown away. Completely blown away. And thought it was just a bunch of trash Jerry Springer type shit and I wanted nothing to do with it. So that was my take on YouTube. Until I went ahead and did some research and seeing that, you know what, YouTube, you have your platform and you can do what you want with it and you can make your community what you want. And that's when I decided that, hey, you know, if I get out my shit and it's uncensored and I actually start putting out facts to cases and let's cover a case in real time and let's see what type of shit I can, you know, show and prove and do. And it's about justice and truth and like let's go. And that's kind of what I've done since, I guess you could say, over the past year and a half. But so moving on, I'm jumping right into it. Want to say again, thank you to Nancy. Thank you here to Objection Overruled. So glad you are covering this. Thank you anybody that has April, the super chat. Again, I do appreciate it. So much time went into me doing this. I never had a YouTube channel when I did any of this. So anybody out there saying that they've ever seen anything about the Watts case on my YouTube channel, no. I did a mock trial to make my coverage of the Watts case actually interactive, and I let people sign up for roles, be part of the jury, and then also be part of the witnesses that I said I was going to be, you know, interviewing / interrogating on the stand. And I included anybody and everybody. And so I had a mock trial and it had over 25 episodes. You know, I was pumping them out 3 times a week. And I put the likes of Cassie, NA, the cops on the stand, asked them the questions, and used you know, the audience, and you guys had the roles, and all I supplied you with was the police reports on anybody that you were the person. So for example, Mike Droppin had a role. She was given the police reports, and I did not prep anybody. I did not let you know what the questions were. And that was that. And that was my interactive, fun way, an interesting way to go about getting my information out versus just sitting up here and telling you. Like, I wanted to do it that way, and it made it so that you got to know me versus whatever you had heard about me. You want to know me, come check out my channel and see what I'm about. So that was that. Now, unfortunately, we have a ton of jealous people of Atlanta, and my YouTube was purposefully hacked into, and all of my hard work in every single one of those episodes, to include all of my episodes that I was doing at the time in the Sheldon Jeter Jr. case in real time out of Pennsylvania, 96 videos were deleted in May of 2021. My YouTube channel, when I had kicked it off in March of 2021, was designed to supplement my income to, you know, everybody has to be able to afford their bills and things like that. So if anybody knows anything about YouTube, I know for a fact that playlist would be one of the most watched playlists to date in the Watts case if it was still available. Unfortunately, I was able to obtain those 96 videos 2 years later, but the quality is nowhere near what it was when, you know, for you to watch it, it's really blurry. And so I said to myself, I don't know, maybe I'll bring it back. But it was unfortunate what had happened, and it truly also costed me financially a lot. Because as you build your channel, you're actually building where people, when they come and see them, they want to see what work you've done in the past, and then you can compare stuff. So that is what truly happened, and I have the proof for it. And if I wanted to, I could take that person to court. They know who they are. I know what they've done. They've admitted what they've done. But all you did was affect the living for, you know, me to provide for, you know, my minor child. That's the facts. So, but here we are today, and I was like, you know, I heard some talk about Cadle and some book. I heard people going after Plunder. And I'm just like, you know, Paul is one of the hardest working people out there. Me and her, I don't know her, but I give respect and props where props is due. And Paula does a phenomenal job. We may not see eye to eye on the same things, but I can tell you this: when you want to start attacking people and whatever they want to cover, you're just an idiot. You're not going to find me doing lives on people. I do lives on situations. I do lives on cases. If you're part of a case, yeah, you're a person because of that case, but I'm not out to go after what your opinion is on something. That's just absolutely fucking stupid. If I want to have people go and see what they think. But what I saw this past over the holiday, and Cato, just shut the fuck up, period. That's all I have to say. Paul is a phenomenal researcher. Paul puts the time in, Paul puts the work in, and Paul did not steal any of your shit, period. Your shit sucks anyways. So here we go. That's my rant. Moving on. Oh, awesome there. I saw Nancy giving out memberships. Kristen, or it says K. Miller. I think that, I don't know, maybe it's not Kristen. Giving out memberships. You guys, like I said, I see a lot of names I haven't seen in a minute. I know you guys were Watts followers. I have not covered the Watts, and I couldn't tell you how long. I've never said I would cover them again. What I'm covering my work, so I look at this as different. I'm not covering the Watts case in what I'm going to show you guys. I'm covering my work because I want you guys to see that this is something that I've always done. So when I talk about the Idaho 4 case, or I talk about the Moore case, I really hone in on the digital evidence, because when you're talking about a circumstantial case, that's our world that we're living in today. And it's going to be about your phones. It's going to be about camera surveillance. But what I think more importantly is that the people, we're humans and we can make mistakes. Somebody still has to interpret the data and present the data and put it together. Now, picture this. Picture somebody presenting the data and purposefully manipulating the data to enhance or embellish somebody's guilt or somebody's innocence. That to me is wrong. Like, what are you doing? And I'm going to call that out, right? I look at it like this. Why were you so fast, Denver, Weld County, to want to deal with the devil and Chris Watts, give him a plea deal? Why didn't you want that to go to trial? That was interesting to me, especially after Chris Watts publicly, once he was arrested, and he said, listen, okay, yeah, I killed Shanann, but I didn't kill my daughters. She did. Right there, he put it in the minds of not just America, but this was a case that was watched across the world, okay? And I think it was because he put his daughters allegedly in oil tanks. And that was just mind-blowing for people to hear that. You killed him, but then you put him in oil, And I think that was just like, wow. Like, you're a sick son of a bitch, Well, I have digital evidence that shows during the time frame that he actually was supposed to go up and walk up those stairs, there is no digital evidence that actually supports the fact that he ever went up sets of flights of stairs at that point in time. And there's digital evidence that supports the fact that he, in fact, had his cell phone on him at the time. So if Chris Watts did not go up and put the girls in the tank, who did? But backing up to what I'm saying here is that I believe that as a district attorney, you have an obligation to the families, to the Rusiks, to this man just accused their daughter of murdering her own children. So therefore, I believe that DA Warwick had an obligation to clear Shanann Watts of any doing of that, period. Like, and if I'm the Rusiks, I'm over here saying, wait, no. You're not going, we're not doing a plea deal because I want you to prove that my daughter did not do this, because he's out here saying this and he's never came out and said that, up until a certain point in time, you want to do a plea deal, you have to advocate for your victims. And you didn't secure that. You didn't secure the fact that, people are out there still thinking that Shanann Watts killed her own kids. Okay. And I think that was an epic fail, Weld County. And this is Colorado, guys. Colorado, I don't know what's in the water out there, but I promise you, if you never have to go to Colorado, don't. Okay. I think it's a pure shithole. I have great reason to think that. I think its citizens are questionable as fuck. And then I've actually met some amazing people, though, through my channel that live in Colorado. And I'm like, man, maybe you should just move because you're way too cool to be a Coloradoan. No, that's just, I love the people. When I find out they're from Colorado, I'm just like, damn, man. And maybe it has something to do with back in the day, I'm a Browns fan, born and raised Cleveland. And it was the Cleveland Browns versus the Denver Broncos every year, okay? And Elway would just break our backs, you know? So maybe that's also got some, you know, I got a little chip on my shoulder about that. But moving on. So we're going to just jump right into, I'm going to show you guys some bombshells never seen before. I did a lot of work with the case. Obviously, I've talked to the Watts a ton. Do I think that Ronnie Watts is an amazing person? I think that he's a simple man. I think that Jamie Watts is a phenomenal mother. I think that Jamie Watts had absolutely nothing to do with this. And you're going to hear that other creators have tried to insert themselves and say that Jamie Watts had something to do with this by supplying oxy. I think that you're a joke. Let's see. I think Cindy Watts needs a lot of therapy. I think anybody would in that situation, though. But I think the last thing that she needs to do is be on the internet and talking to people. I think that a lot of people have used the Watts for personal gain. And I think that my motives were to help a family. I did exactly what I said I was going to do, and I got the best attorney in Jane Fisher for that family. Period. End of story. I did that. And I did it so relatively quick. It was insane. My experiences during that was like, hey, I want to go and help people that maybe can't afford proper representation because they just don't have the money. Our legal system, our public defenders are so overworked. But it's like all of us that follow true crime, if we all chipped in and did crowdsourcing in terms of just such a minimal amount of money, like $5 or $10 a month, and then we also helped in on the research to be able to provide reports for public defenders, we could actually save people's lives before they ever got into the post-conviction phase. Or we could actually put people behind bars that should be behind bars. And that's just a gift that I think that's out there and that needs to be, you know, somehow put together. I tried that. I tried that. And unfortunately, people out there, man, if you love Lana, you hate Lana. So I tried to create a nonprofit and I put a shit ton of my own money into it, a shit ton of my own money into it. And every other day, people are calling the attorney general in Ohio saying that I'm running some fucking fraudulent company, nonprofit. And anyways, we'll move on from that. Here we go, though. Evidence time. This is what we're looking at here is my maroon binder here. You guys can see it's maroon. Okay. My maroon binder here is full with, it's broken into a couple different dividers, and it's all the digital evidence that I put together in my own Excel spreadsheets. And I took it from digital stuff that was provided in the discovery. So what I did is I went ahead and I created my own timeline, and we're going to get into that. But what I want to show you guys is that this is a screenshot, okay, of Cassie provided screenshots of her text messages with Shanann Watts. This was when they were in Arizona on the Sunday, and they were looking up. What you're seeing right here is these are the different names and numbers of therapists, okay? So this was Sunday. Then you get to here. And this is your Monday. Now, anybody that knows a iPhone, okay, when you send somebody a text message and you have an iPhone, okay, and you send a text message to somebody and it delivers blue, and it says underneath it, delivered, okay, what that means is that it went through, their phone was not off, their phone was on. And this is very important in the case of Shanann Watts with her cell phone. This is Cassie sending a text message. The first one says, "How are you doing, honey?" Then, "Honey, you have me worried about you. Please tell me you're okay and just don't want to talk." Do you see it says delivered? That means that Shanann Watts' cell phone was turned on and received that text message. Number one. Number two, we're going to point out here is Shanann, Nicole Atkinson, and Cassie, had a three-way group chat going as well in the text messages. She had her own, Cassie had her own line to text just her and Shanann. And also she had a three-way text going with Shanann and NA. Do you know kind of delay it is? We are boarding now. Okay, please message me so I know you landed home safely. It won't wake me. NA says, will do. Shanann doesn't say anything. Right here in the three-way, Shanann Watts, 12:25 a.m. Now, this is on Cassie's phone. Shanann and Cassie are in different time zones, but Shanann from her phone says that she landed, and it says landed. Then Nicole says, we are home. Okay. Again, this is in the three-way. Then that morning, Cassie does not respond that night, but in the morning, she first texts the three-way group chat, "Glad you're home safe." And that says 7:53 a.m., which would actually be in Colorado, 8:53 a.m. Okay. So 8:53 a.m. comes before when she then just wants to go straight to Shanann and she doesn't want to be talking with NA. So she just goes straight to and says, how are you doing, honey? And that was at 8 a.m., which is at 9 a.m. Denver time. So the three-way comes first. Okay. Investigators would purposely leave out this message in their extraction. Why? I'll get to that. But just so you can see, that's where that digital stuff's coming from. Now, I'm going to back up so I can just show you how crazy this looks. And you're going to be like, what is all this? If you know nothing about the Watts case, this is just going to seem like a bunch of mumble jumble bullshit. Okay. What they did, investigators asked a woman by the name of Ann Meadows, who was their real estate agent, Shanann and Chris's real estate agent. Hey, we want to talk to you because you were talking to Chris the day of the murders, or at the time it was the day that Shanann and the girls went missing. So this is Ann Meadows providing these screenshots of text communications between, it was in a three-way, Shanann, Chris, and Ann Meadows. And this is the order that they put this on a piece of paper. And then what your girl Lana did here, when I saw this, I said, this is not in the order that this actually happened. How I was able to figure this all out was when we get to let's see here. We get to in the discovery I dubbed gentlemen from Greeley, Colorado. I dubbed them the gang unit. And so if you ever hear me say the gang unit when I did any of my stuff, it's because right here, Detective Michael D. Prill of the gang unit. Okay. So what ends up happening here is DA Rorick wanted to put his own little team together. After, I shouldn't say after, right before Chris Watts made a plea deal, which was in the middle of October, allegedly, of 2018, okay? DA Rorick wanted to put together his own, okay, team that was going to do the extraction of these cell phones belonging to Nicole Kessinger, Shanann, Chris Watts, and Chris Watts's work cell phone. We have 4 cell phones that we're dealing with. So there was a report that was written up here, 10/30, means October 30th, 2018. That's just when the report was written up. When they started working on this was at the beginning of October. And what it says here is that during my review of the data extracted from the phones, like I was just saying, okay, belonging to, like I said, Agent Darian Ford conducted a logical extraction of the data. Now, let me explain to you what that means. There was Cellbrite dumps done on all these phones. Then what you get, guys, it looks like this. Okay, let me just show you something. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on, where is it? All right. Oopsies. You're going to get something that looks like this. This is a Cellbrite, and what it looks like is it's going to go down and it's going to tell you, the number, the person, if it was a sent text, if it was received, all this stuff. So this is everything. And then you're going to go through and you have all this data that's like 5,000 pages, okay? And when you are going to logically extract something, what that means is that it is going to be up to you what you want to take from the information, meaning from the data, what you deem as important to put into a timeline. Understand that? That means whatever I don't want to take out of this, because it kind of doesn't go with, our narrative, we're just going to leave out. That's what a logic extraction of data is, because there's already the extraction, but then you're going to do a logical extraction, which is you personally deciding as the investigator what is important and what you're going to put in your timeline. Okay? This is your expert witness that the prosecution is going to put on the stand then. If this would have went to trial, they're going to put on the stand Michael D. Prill and Darian Ford. Okay? And they're going to talk about, hey, you guys went ahead and you came up with this 50-page report that you provided in the discovery, and you explained that what you did is you went all the way back to the end of June and you extracted 6 weeks worth leading up to the homicide, and then you did a little bit after the homicide or the disappearance that became 3-4 homicides. And you provided what you said is this is a 50-page document in chronological order starting May to August of 2018 following each entry, and you put what you thought was important, and that's what that means. That's what would be asked on the stand, and these investigators would say, Mr. Ford, is every extraction that came out from the cell right in your 50-page report? And he's going to say, absolutely not. I mean, my report would be 5,000 pages. No. Okay, so you just picked out what you wanted, right? Yes. And so when you went ahead and made this report, here's your 50-page report, which I had to break on down. And item 40 was the Watts work phone. Item 41 was Watts's personal phone. Item 52 was Shanann's personal phone. And then item 43 was Kessinger's personal phone, right? Okay. And what you did is that this is what it looks like. You had 50 pages that you put the date and then whatever it was, and then you had where you found the data. And that would be from item 43, which is Kessinger's phone, timeline 2290. Okay. Those are timeline transactions. And so the prosecution would have this witness up there explaining what they did. All right. And then they would go through this was to show motive. This was to show what was transpiring in the lives of Shanann and Chris leading up to, as well as Nicole Kessinger, leading up to the murders. All right. Well, my first question to Darian Ford here and Mike D. Prill, this is his report, would be, well, Mr. Gang Unit here, we'll just call him the Gang Unit. You said that you started this, and this was a logical extraction that you took, and that you began this in May of 2000 and from May to August of 2018. So my first question for you is, why does this begin in September of 2017? Where is that? How you didn't go back that far? You didn't, or did you? You had the data, but you weren't. Why is that on there? Okay, so you went back to 2017. So in your report, it's not accurate when you say that you're starting in May. Mic drop and buying 5 memberships for other people. Look at you making the chat green. That's going to be, okay, just to show you guys. Now, what I went ahead and did is I started labeling, if it was June 14th, okay, it was a Thursday, it was a Sunday, you know, things like that. But to fast forward to get to, I just want to show you guys. Okay. We'll just use this day, for example. July 23rd, 2018. It's a Monday. 5:40 hours. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. And Shanann called Watts and held a 2-minute conversation. And that's timeline transaction 6325. Then at 8:25 a.m., Watts transferred an image of Kessinger into his secret calculator application. And that from Watts's phone was timeline transaction 2475. Okay. Now we go to item 41, the next one at 1702. So that would be 5:02 p.m. So you didn't deem anything else important on July 23rd between 8:25 a.m. and 5:02. So you go to 5:02, and I noticed that it says 6,343. And so if you look up above that where it says 6,325, Shanann's phone had almost 20 timeline transactions between and that she did that day. And what a timeline transaction is can you explain that for people? And it's when you tell your phone to do a command. If you send a text message, that's a timeline transaction. If you make a phone call, if you Google something and then you Google something else, like those are separate transactions. So whatever Shanann did, those 20, almost 20 transactions, you didn't deem important to put on here. Isn't that correct? But you felt it was important that at 5:02, Watts called Nicole, which is NA, Shannon's friend, briefly. And then, and my question here would be, so you're taking that from 41 timeline 6343. Is that from Shanann's phone, Chris's phone? Who's 41? Let's take a look. The 41 is Watts's personal phone. So you're taking this from Watts's personal phone, not from Shanann. Shanann calling Watts, but you just took it from that was on his extraction. And then you got Watts calling. So it was actually Watts. You got 20 missing, but you didn't deem anything important. But then I have a question. Ready? When you have the images here and it says 2475, all right, is that different than the timeline transactions? And they're going to say, yeah, that's image number 2475, but it also would consume a timeline transaction as well. So it would have actually there could be another number there to tell you what the timeline transaction was. Why this is important is because we go, and what I do is I go all the way to, I went through all of this and put this all on an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. But we're going to go to the infamous day here where everybody wants to talk about right here. This Dow pick. All right. But in order to understand the Dow pick, we're going to have to back up to August 9th. Okay. I want to show you guys something. August 9th is a Thursday. August 9th is when actually start with August 8th. Right here at the bottom, Shanann and Chris went to North Carolina. They come back on the Tuesday. And then here on August 8th, the gang unit wants us to know that Chris Watts returned back to work that day. Okay. And then they're pulling that from the FBI interview. No. Let me move all my fucking notes. All right. So Chris is at work and Shanann's at home. All right. And they're going back and forth here. And Shanann is talking to a woman named Sarah. And at 8:06 in the morning, Shanann says that he is not having an affair. Sarah asked if Shanann is certain of this, and Shanann replied, honestly, no, but what else would make him do a complete 360? It'd be a 180, but whatever. We couldn't get enough of each other before I left. Okay. And this was all happening in 6 to 8 text messages. Then at 8:52 a.m., Josh Rosenberg asked Watts if he was excited for the ultrasound. Today's the day, right? Watts replied he just returned to work and added, yep, today's the day. I'm excited. Watts confirmed the ultrasound was at 1900 hours. Okay. No. Okay. Kassinger searched Google on topics related to marrying your mistress. All right. And I highlight this because the web browser shows 2997. And Kassinger's phone is the only phone that, as the other phones are going up in numbers, Kessinger's phone is going down in numbers. So let me show you right here. Kessinger's phone here on August 4th, web history, see 3526 to 3324. It's going down. And it says for over 2 hours, Kessinger searched Google for wedding dresses. And so the question would be is why are Kessinger's web history searches going the opposite way? It should be going up, when you're adding a search. Hers is going the opposite way. As you could see, 3324. When you get to this one here on when she's searching 2997, how is it going backwards? They're going to have to explain that, right? Doesn't make any sense. The reason I'm saying this to you guys is this is out of order. Meaning, in fact, when did Nicole Kessinger truly search marrying your mistress? How do you know that it was on this day at this time? Didn't Nicole Kessinger fuck with her phone? Didn't she try to delete stuff? She was so mad. She doing a bunch of crazy ass shit. Could that affect, in fact, her phone when she did this? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, because last time I checked, we don't count backwards. We count up and forward. Okay. The only phone that is counting backwards is Nicole Kessinger's in this timeline. And you're going to have to explain that. You can't just fucking plop this shit down and say, this is this. Sorry, you just can't. Now, moving on to on that day of this alleged, we're going to go get this ultrasound. As I'm searching and looking through, I'm paying attention to Shanann told NA and Cassie, he said we were not compatible anymore. He refused to hug me, said he thought another baby would fix his feelings, said he refused couples counseling. Okay. Now remember, this is all Shanann saying that this is taking place without Shanann actually providing what I would call, if me and my significant other were having a conversation and I took a screenshot and then I said, can you believe this motherfucker? Sent it to one of my best friends, okay, and said, look at this conversation we're having. Look at what a dick he's being, and so that they could physically see that, in fact, Chris Watts and Shanann were actually having this type of a conversation. We never get that. And in fact, in this whole extraction that these fucking amazing detectives put together, which I'm about to blow up, they never provide to show Shanann and Chris having these conversations. Except, I believe, in North Carolina, maybe once. But Shanann is filling up her friends with her version of what allegedly is going on in their life. Does that make sense? Versus me taking a screenshot to show you that this is exactly what me and my boyfriend or husband or whoever this is our conversation. She's just saying that this is what's happening. And it's very important because now this is the day of this ultrasound they're supposed to go and have, and that they do go and have. This is 22:19 hours, which would be 10:19 p.m. Shanann tells NA and Cassie, I will fight for full custody. Shanann says Watts told her he does not want to divorce right away. What? Okay. Then 10:40. Shanann told the women, I can't afford 3 kids alone in Colorado. Shanann said their current home loan is on Chris's name. Her friends rallied around Shanann. Now, these text messages would be actually crazy. Like, fuck that motherfucker. Like, they were pissed, and they were, when they're talking about rallying around Shanann sitting over here talking about how she can't afford her kids. Why isn't anybody saying to her, he's going to have to pay child support. You're going to be fine. you know. It doesn't matter that the home is in his name, okay? Y'all have marital assets that's going to get divided, you know. But first of all, why aren't you saying stuff like, what are you talking about divorce, you know? So, but the stuff that is actually coming out of the mouths of Cassandra and NA, and more so Cassie, is going ham, like, on Chris, to Shanann saying, you know, basically, fuck him, fuck that bastard. We're going to move in with you and we'll pay. You know, Cassie and her husband and her kids are going to move there because they're moving to Colorado, and we'll move in and we'll pay to live there, which you'll be able to afford the rent then or mortgage. Now, Shanann just told people that Chris is not going to go and do couples counseling, right? That's what she just told. Here she is, though, Googling, allegedly, at 11:08. Shanann searched Google on topics like emotion-focused therapy, couples therapy. Okay. Why are you Googling this after Chris, you know, purportedly is saying that that's not even an option, right? Now, here we go. When I was in Denver with Ronnie said, you know, she accused us of basically, or at least my wife and Jamie, of almost trying to kill the kids with nuts, right? And it caused such a big uproar that Nutgate became a thing. And that because of it, Shanann then took to social media and was basically running her mouth about the in-laws and saying basically what idiots they are and how are you letting, you know, razor blades and nuts out and just going on and on. And this is being said in groups as well as on her, you know, posts, and the family is seeing it. And Ronnie does not play into, you know, the girl drama bullshit. Ronnie is not about that. He's like, you know, if they all want to be bickering and stuff like that, like I'm a dude and I'm just, that's just not my thing. And I want to hang out with my grandkids and, you know, that's just not me. And he is. That's exactly him. He's not drama. He doesn't want any problems. He's non-confrontational. So, but Ronnie makes the ultimate decision that Cece had a birthday party, which, let me ask you guys something. Why in the fuck would anybody schedule a birthday, okay, when your husband is about to come there like the next week and he could be there? Why would you schedule a birthday party and you're the daddy of your baby for him not, you're going to schedule when he can't be there and you're having a big party? That doesn't make any sense. Nobody would ever do that. You would just schedule it the next week when he is there, right? You understand? Like, think about that. Who would ever want that? Why would Shanann not want Chris to be there? I don't care. Oh, well, that's actually her birthday. Or so who cares? Who, people do it all the time that you have your birthday party for like kids and their friends. It's not on the birthday. All right. You have it when everybody can be there. And here your husband's about to be there the next week. So why wouldn't you have a birthday party? And where is Chris to say, hold on a second. Why are we're not having her birthday when I'm not there. I'm coming there the next week. We're having it at this time. My family's going to be there. Your family's going to be there, right? And we're having one big birthday party. That's what you do. Divorced people, okay, pull the shit that Shanann pulled in North Carolina to have a birthday party and to create an issue when why? But then again, where is your fucking balls and dick, Chris, to speak up and say, I'm going to be at my daughter's birthday party. We're going to have it the next week. I'm coming to town. I want to see people. I want to see my child. Number one, it's her birthday, you know? And I want to see my family seeing, you know, we want to create memories. That's what you do. Period. Like there's period. I want to give a shout out to AD. If you're watching, He would cover the Watts case, like, I think every day. And I come to appreciate Alan, and I don't know the ins and outs of everybody's lives, but me and Alan did some lives on the Watts stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking school you, old man. Come on now. You want to talk about the Watts case? Because I was like, you don't know about the Watts case. You just know about your little theories and about your little red cars and little NK shit and little fucking shadows. I would just mess with him, and he'd laugh, and I'd go into his Patreon, and I'm like, look at you, Patreon. Come on over for $10.99 or whatever the fuck it was. And I would just laugh. But I would say, listen, I want to talk facts. Okay. I want to talk about facts. I'm not talking about these wild theories. I don't care. I think it's a waste of time. I want to eliminate things, and I want to keep things on the whiteboard to say what's possible, what can we eliminate. But I came to appreciate Alan, and I came to appreciate his viewers. They were very, very kind. His mods were very, very kind to people that came over my channel and my mods, things like that. And so if you're out there, Alan, hopefully you're doing well. Now, going back to this birthday party, Shanann is completely in the wrong, and you should ask yourself why Shanann would ever have a birthday party without her husband there, period. Now, look at this right here. August 9th is a Thursday. And in italicized letters, and this is where I first blow up the prosecution's expert witness. This is their expert witness that was set to take the stand and to say that on Thursday, August 9th, Watts took the day off of work and Shanann left for Arizona. Boom. That didn't happen. More importantly, why in the world Shanann left on Friday morning? Why in the world is the prosecution trying to push the narrative that Chris Watts didn't go to work and that Shanann went to Arizona? Again, if you see something in italicized, he says that that's, him just making that observation from the data. So here at 2:54 a.m., Shanann told Addie, like she's up at 2:54 a.m., that Watts refused to hold her and has told Shanann it is because he's not there. He can't get there. And at 2:54 Denver time, Addie is across the country and she's in Maryland time, which is East Coast. So go ahead and add 2 hours onto that, and that would be at 4:54 a.m. that she's texting this person at her 2:54 a.m. And she's decided that she is going to cancel the gender reveal. Nikki is going to tell me today, I need happy news right now. I said to him, how is this a few months? We were so intimate. And what I thought in love when I left, he said he had a lot of time to think. This is what, just again, this is her not providing screenshots, her thing. Addie asks if Shanann has gone through Watts's phone. That's what any normal girl will do. Shanann Watts worked for a phone company. Okay. Go through his phone. Is he cheating, right? Well, guess what, guys? It's 2018. You don't got to go through people's phones. Guess what you just have to do? All you have to do is go online, type in www.verizon.com. That's what they had. And go and look. Y'all are on the same plan. You're going to go and you're going to look at your two phones, and you're going to be able to see exactly who and what the numbers are that your significant other is calling and texting in real time. Can you believe that? Just fucking easy as that. So her friends are saying to her, like, are you doing this? Have you done this? Okay. Telling her to do this. Now, Chris Watts is not being sneaky by any means because we have their phone records. Chris Watts is not using a burner to call Nicole Kessinger and vice versa. Okay. He might be transferring naked pics into a secret calculator app, But he is not at all hiding the fact that he is talking to Nicole Kessinger and doing so at all hours. It's right there in the phone records. So that's all she would have to do. Okay. So Addie says this to her, as you could see. Here comes your next bomb. Shanann replied, I did. So asking if he was having an affair. Shanann replied, I did. He denied it. No, I didn't look. He's deleting messages from his dad. How the hell would you know that he's deleting messages from his dad if and in fact you didn't look? Come on, Shanann. Like, who believes that? Like, write that sentence right there. Well, you wouldn't know that messages were getting deleted if you weren't checking his phone, right? And let me tell you how she would know that messages were deleted. You go on Verizon.com because you might be able to delete it from your phone as far as your log. But guess what's not going to not be deleted? Your phone records that you go on and you search. So what Shanann would have to do is she would have to, in order to know that he was deleting messages, she would have had to, and as a worker at a cell phone store, you know this. Not to mention if you're just, I don't know, a fucking with it human. You know that all you got to do is here. I went through his phone, shit's deleted. How would you know shit's deleted? Because I went online and it's showing me that there's all these phone calls that are being made and that there's all these text messages being made. But when I go and I look in his phone, he hasn't texted for 4 or 5 hours, but there's these text messages that just happen, within the 4 or 5 hours, as well as phone calls. That's how you would know. And that's what Shanann is basically telling us right here without telling us. Period. There is no other way you can do this. There's no other way that Shanann could physically and possibly know this unless she physically did exactly what I just said. When she says that he's deleting messages. How do you know that? You can't say, oh, I looked at his phone. Well, if he's deleting messages, they wouldn't be there. So how do you know he's deleting messages? You'd have to go to the www.verizon and get it like that. And then that's how you would compare. Period. So here, do you know what that means, guys? Let me tell you what that means. That means that the gang unit knows, but does not feel that it's relevant. Ask yourselves this. The gang unit has Shanann's phone and has her Google searches. Why isn't the gang unit here writing and saying, she tells this to Addie, but yet she is Google searching Verizon.com, goes on Verizon and is looking up her cell phone information and viewing the cell data of their account? That would be there. The gang unit knows that it's there, but they leave it out. Why? Because we cannot know that Shanann knows about Nicole Kessinger. Why? Because that blows up the state's case. Why? Because now we're talking about motive. Shanann would then have motive if and in fact, and have time to plan things if and in fact she was planning anything. She's telling her friend she doesn't know something, but really she does because she's looking it up and sees it in real time, right? Right. The gang unit knows it and they leave it out. Why? You'd have to ask them that on the stand and they'd have to answer that. But more importantly, we're on this Thursday day and here Ronnie tells me, Lana, did you know that Shanann, and he shows it to me. Shanann texted me out of the blue on this Thursday. I hadn't talked to her, since she basically accused us of Nutgate. And she wanted me to know, she's like, hey, don't you care what the sex is of your grandbaby? And just writes this little dig and sends the ultrasound, sends this to Ronnie. She doesn't send it to Cindy though, but Shanann sends this to Ronnie. Ronnie shows me that he doesn't respond. He's not playing these games. He's done. Because Ronnie decided not to go to the kids' Cece's birthday party, something that he regrets to this day and probably to the day he will die, because that would have been an opportunity that was lost to see and spend time with his grandkids. All right. And I feel horrible for him for that, you know, but he had enough of just this whole back and forth fickle shit. So, is this my little note? Yeah, I do. So pay attention right here to what I'm about to show you. Shanann in the morning here shared an ultrasound image of her unborn son with Sarah. Why didn't the gang unit show in this that she also sent it to Ronnie Watts? Ronnie Watts showed it to me, guys. I physically fucking saw the shit myself when I was in Denver.
Can you explain what that is? What he showed you?
He showed me on his phone. I am with Ronnie Watts. He shows me his phone and he's like, here, because I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I want to see proof. Can I see that? Sure as shit. What do? I see it. He didn't respond. Okay. I also saw Mark Gillespie just showing his ass and all these text messages to them. Like, what a fucking lunatic. So what I do here to prove the whole Dow pick and to prove why the gang unit had to say that Chris Watts was home from work. Okay. Take a look at this. It says 7834 is the image picture. And that's coming from Shanann's 42, her timeline. And that's where her count is for images. Okay. Then again, look at this. 1516. What's that number? 85. 85. Then take a look. There's the dial pick. At 11:44 a.m., I couldn't even believe this myself, that this is what they were about to try to say to the world, and they were just going to get blown up. At 11:44 a.m., the gang unit says that this image was taken by Chris Watts' phone, which he sent to Shanann. She replied, "Don't know what to think about this." The gang unit lied on the Thursday when they wrote this for this reason. Shanann left for Arizona, so Shanann couldn't have possibly taken that picture because Shanann wasn't there. The fuck? No, Shanann left on Friday. Lie. Fucking lie. Why? Because you're about to tell the world that this is why you know that Chris Watts took this picture. But I even have more proof that he didn't take the picture. Ready? Take a look at 41, it says. 41, and it says 7299 dash to 7300. That means it's 2 timeline transactions. 2. That would be the photo and then writing this. This image was taken by Watts's phone, which he sent to Shanann, would be 1 timeline transaction. And then she replied to it, would be the second, saying, "Don't know what to think about this." Okay. And then here, this image number, 7836. This image number down here, 7834. See that? 7834? Wait, whose image did this come from? Oh, Shanann's phone. 7834. 7836. Where was Chris's phone at with his images? Oh, in the 2000s. Okay. Number 3 of how I can prove this. Wait, I said, wait, there's one missing. Look at that. See that right there? 7836. The one that we had before that was 7834. Look at what they did. They show this letter that Shanann sent a photograph to Sarah, the girl that she was talking with. The image is of this letter she wrote to Watts. And it comes, see, look at that. Now let me tell you what happens in life. Ready? Let's say that I'm here at my house right now and I take my phone and I take a picture of me right now live. And then an hour later, I take a picture of me live. And I send immediately, mic drop in the picture that I did, from an hour forward, not the one that I took an hour ago, but I send her first the picture that I did right then and there. And then a couple minutes later or 2 hours later, I then send Boston the picture that I took first. Okay. Do you want to know in order how that would look? The picture that I took first is going to have the number that comes before the picture that I took second. But I sent out first the second picture. So that's what this is. Okay. That does not mean that this picture was in fact taken before this picture. Okay. I could just have had it in my phone and never sent it out yet. But really, and how I can prove this is that this picture was actually taken before the doll pic. How do I know that? Well, why in the world would the gang unit, I mean, they're just so fucking awesome. Why in the world, when they did this, this is how I was so hell-bent on proving this, and I did. Shanann expressed hopes Watts would respond with a letter of his own. And normally they put the image of that. Why couldn't you put, it's blank. It's right here when you do it and you have the picture, you put the image. Why are you leaving that out? Oh, because it's the 7835 pick. Okay. So why is this important? Because they're lying to tell us that Chris Watts, in fact, his phone took this picture when it didn't. Shanann sent it not only to Chris Watts to then say, don't know what to think about this. That was sent to Watts just like that. She didn't reply, I don't know what to think about this. She sent that with the pic. How do I know this? Because Shanann went on fucking Facebook like she always did. And if Shanann was to actually receive that pic from Chris, I went and I have the pictures of when she posted on social media, the Facebook, and it has a timestamp of that. She had 30 seconds to 49 seconds of which Chris would have had to send that picture to her. She would have had to download the picture to save it and it be in this order. Download the picture to save it, then hurry up, get on Facebook to then upload this picture all within 45 seconds of literally she had to see it right when it came in. Oh my God, download it, then go on, get on Facebook, then upload it, hurry up to Facebook to say, oh my God, this is, oh my God, and her little post that she did on Facebook. All of that happened within less than 1 minute of when they're saying that Chris sent this to her and that she received it for the first time. Think about that. Think about you sending me something. I have to seriously get it and see it right away for me to even start to think that, oh my God, I'm gonna put this on fucking social media right now. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Versus her actually having it, deciding when she's gonna post that on social media after she sends this, and then I'm gonna post that on Facebook. You guys understand that? Okay. Now, also go back with the fact that the world, the gang unit wants to tell the world that Shanann she was in Arizona when she wasn't. And that Chris was at home. Do you want to know who was at home when this picture was taken? Shanann with the girls and Nicole Atkinson was there. NA was there cutting fucking Shanann Watts' lawn. You guys know that? She was pushing that fucking mower, cutting the lawn for her. And she had brought over some fucking onesies. Remember, Nicole's going to come over and cheer me up and tell me what the baby is. The sex of the baby. So right there it is. NA came over, cut her lawn. The girls were there. So while NA is mowing the lawn, this is what Shanann's doing with her time. Just so you guys know that. I think that's just so fucking weird and so disrespectful. So again, but yeah, Chris is there and NA's mowing the lawn. Get out of here. Come on, man. So, I mean, this will just get blown up in a courtroom. Now, check this out. Right here. Shanann told Sarah, Chris has agreed to go away next weekend, just us. Shanann said, a friend has agreed to watch the kids. I died when I saw this. Shanann hadn't even asked anybody yet to watch the kids. Shanann had asked multiple people actually to watch the kids. But at this point in time, when she's writing this to Sarah, she hasn't asked anybody to watch the kids. Shanann asked Watts, why did you cancel your Facebook account? Look at 144. 144. Look at this. 137. 137. 1144. Remember I told you guys what she did on and how she knew that Chris had deleted his Facebook? Because she went and tried to tag his ass in the fucking doll pic and she couldn't. Why? Because he deleted his account. But how would Shanann know that? How would Shanann know that at this time right here? Well, because she couldn't believe it when she went to try to tag his ass in the doll pic and couldn't. But Shanann texts him while he's at work, just in the middle of the day at 1:44, and NA's out there pushing the mower probably still, and she wants to know, I cannot believe I can't tag Chris in this doll pic that became so highly controversial, and that this was forecasting how he was going to kill her and the children. But yet the picture was taken by Shanann, and Shanann sent it to Chris. I said, why? That's so fucking crazy. But then what's even crazier is that the police are trying to tell us that it was the opposite way, but yet the evidence will tell you that it's not. Now that's all fucking sick. You have this guy by the balls. You know what I mean? Why do you need to lie? Why are you about to do this and totally fuck up your case they're about to commit perjury for Chris Watts? The fuck are you? Why? You don't need to. He's a piece of shit, right? He did this crazy ass shit, right? Shanann says then, can you be there Monday to drop Bella off with me to her first day of kindergarten? Watts replied, I can make that happen. Again, I want to see the screenshot of that shit. Let's go right here to the let's go then to then they say here Watts August 10th. Oh, Watts took the day off of work and Shanann left for Arizona. Oh, okay. Like, look at them, man. What a bunch of messes, man. So when was it? Did she leave Thursday or Friday? Well, we all know that she left Friday, right? So I go ahead and I create you would think the day of the murders would be a very, very important day that you wouldn't leave out any timeline transactions, right? And so my big thing was I looked at what they did on the day of the murders. And so here's your day of the murders. And this is where I just said I was fed up with the bullshit from August 13th. Okay. Right here. Shanann's phone activity is otherwise dormant until 7:40 hours when Watts sent the device a staged message pretending not to know where she was. Okay. And that's in italicized down there. All right. So what I'm going to show you right here is where we're going to zoom in. Now, remember what these we got 41, 42, 43, and 40. Those are the item numbers. So I create the most detailed spreadsheet that at this point in time that I probably ever created. I would say the other most detailed one would be the Chase Merritt McStay case. I believe that Chase Merritt, if he is guilty, he's not alone. No, they couldn't have done it like that. But this was the most detailed thing I've ever done. And what I did is I took for this day, and let me move in here, zoom in here. I paid attention to the numbers. Let me turn on this light. Okay, there we go. At 5:48, Watts left the home with the bodies of his family piled in the back seat of the truck, okay? Then at 6:29 to 6:30 hours, Watts made 3 unanswered calls to Roberts. And they're using, this is the work phone, 40. Okay, see how it says 6549 to 6551. Okay. Then we have at 6:31, Watts sent a message asking Roberts, where you at? Okay, 40, 40, see 52, 53, 54. Okay, good. Now, 655, and then look at that work. So another 5. Watts responded with 2 messages to Roberts. Okay, I'm in Survey. Where are you going first? 6:33. Okay. Roberts answered DP State, and Watts replied with a thumb up emoji. 6557. If Roberts answered with that and then Watts replied with a thumb emoji, that's 2 different timeline transactions. So 58's missing, it's left out. Because see how they go to 6559, 6557, see that? I need to call Chad and see if he plans on still stroking the, blah, blah, blah. No. Roberts added, I think Chad might be headed out there today. Phone was breaking up pretty bad. See how it goes? 652, then it goes to 6565, and we're missing 2 timeline transactions. Likely fearing other employees may show up at 319 while he was disposing of the bodies. Again, that's all speculation. Watts made an unanswered call to Chad at this time. What were the 2, 63 and 64? Why are you leaving anything out? Okay. So I note this. Then we get to right down here. They left out timeline 69. And now this is the good stuff right here. At 7 o'clock, 6:59, Roberts told Watts, I guess I'm headed out that way to start up the 1029, and Chad will be meeting out there. Watts replied, okay. And used 40, which was the work phone, and said it was from 7:1 to 7:3. Again, at 7:18, Watts took a photograph of his laptop screen, presumably sitting in his truck at 7:18. Do you see that number? 41? That means it's with his personal cell phone. Do you see that number though? 7784. $7:40. Do you see how they used number 40 here? Watts sent the stage message to Shanann's phone at 7:40. If you take the kids somewhere, please let me know where they are at. And they use this timeline transaction, which would be the one that's coming after 41 here. But the detectives want us to think that it's from the phone 40. Okay. And I said to myself, why? Is this just a typo that they, are wanting us to? Is it just a typo? Or is there something more to it? Because Watts made a 2.5-minute phone call to Troy McCoy from the work phone 7:40. Okay, which means if he's doing this and he has his work phone on him at 7:40 and he sent a stage text message or a call at 7:40, that means he has both phones physically on him, which is very, very important when you want to talk about digital evidence in terms of who walked up the stairs to unload the children in the oil tanks. If he has both phones on him versus his cell phone of his personal phone in the truck, then you could say to yourself on the stand, the reason that Chris Watts's health data did not register any steps or any flights of stairs is because his personal cell phone was actually not on him and it was actually in his vehicle and he was doing everything from his work phone. However, at 7:40, he has both of his phones actually on him and he's using this as sending a text message, but they want us to believe that he did it from his work phone. Not only do they do that with that, they then continue to say, right here, whoopsies, that here we go. That at 8:25, Watts made a staged 23-second call to Shanann's phone, and he puts, again, 40. He puts, again, 40. Watts searched the internet for the Primrose School of Erie at Vista Ridge. Then he called the school and held a 1-minute conversation, and they're trying to say that this was happening all from the work phone. I went back and looked, and not one time when they were doing any of this data extractions did they ever fuck up what phone Chris Watts was using, except for the day of the fucking murder. How inept can you possibly be, or was it done purposely? I believe it was done purposely because I'm going to show you why. Number one reason is they realized that the health data on Chris's phone showed that this man did not go up any flights of stairs during the time frame of when the bodies were put in the oil tanks. Let me repeat that for you. These people knew that were extracting this data. They knew that Chris Watts had both of his phones on him and that during this time frame, he did not, at any point in time, when he would have needed to, there was only a window of time that he dug this grave, put Shanann in there, okay, and that he then went up that big old stairs to go and put his daughters in separate oil tanks. Not the same one, okay, separate ones. His Apple Watch, same thing, does not register any stairs during that time frame. Do you guys understand how you have to truly think about that?
Well, for people that don't know what Serby looks like.
It doesn't matter if you know what Serby looks like. It just matters if you have to go upstairs to put those two beautiful babies in those tanks. You have to go up the stairs. Okay? And the detectives are trying their asses off right here to cover for the fact, to try to say on the stand, if it would have went to that position, to say that, yeah, well, Chris didn't have his phone on him. That's why it didn't register. But Chris did. How do we know? Because we have Chris's phone records, and Chris was not making this staged call at 8:25. He didn't make it with his work cell phone. He made it with his cell phone. And when he searched Google and then called Primrose, again, he did that from his actual cell phone number. Then I went one step further, and I got my hands on the interviews of the workers that arrived that day. Okay. And as they arrived that day, one of the chicks said that when they were arriving, that they saw Chris on his phone by where it looked like he was, I don't know, possibly taking a piss or a shit and covering it up. But he had his phone because he was on his phone. And that's around the time of like when they're arriving, proving that at the time that they're arriving, that Chris is making a call from his personal cell phone. He has both cell phones on him. And they're trying to cover it up. They then, during their extraction here, they feel the need. Chris's personal cell phone was on notifications for the Vivint app, okay? Which means if the app notified you that somebody opened up a door or, you know, whatever your app is going off for the notifications of your Vivint system, somebody comes up to the Ring camera and it goes off because it catches you, like, you know, coming up to it to notify you that someone's coming up to your door, that's a notification. If you were to jump up and down to try to open up the garage door, if you actually have the garage door opener and you pressed it to open up the garage door, those are notifications. It's going to notify you. And I said to myself, what in the actual fuck are they leaving out? Very important timeline transactions like 87 and 88. Why is that missing? What was Chris's phone? What was the command? Was there a call that came in? I realized that it's the Vivint. Okay. They have to leave this out because it is the Vivint notifying. Now, who the hell will be at Chris's house at 8:25 a.m.? Everyone's like, it's Nicole Kessinger. It's Nicole Kessinger. Or it's Nicole Atkinson. Right? Let's discuss. If it was Nicole Kessinger, the state would be all over it. The state would be like, yeah, it was Nicole Kessinger. They wouldn't leave out the timeline transactions. They would be saying how the Vivint was going off. And because they know that they're going to be able to prove that Nicole Kessinger was actually the person that was sending that off. But they leave it off the timeline transactions. Now, we go on, and then it says here, seconds later, 9:05, Shanann's phone had an appointment reminder scheduled for this time, and so it went off. Okay. And then we have seconds later, Watts called Ann Meadows, the realtor, and held a 3-minute and 40-second conversation. And look at this. Again, using number 40. Again, using 4040. Okay? No, he did that from his personal cell phone, ladies and gentlemen. But that gang unit wants to, we cannot have Chris having his personal cell phone. So let me go right here. They leave out timeline transaction 7, the 9-1 and the 9-2. And I'm like circling that. I'm like, geez, what are they doing? Right here, 10:06. Centra Health Physician Group, Women's Health in Erie called Shanann. Now, let's go back to remember the beginning of the live. And I said, pay attention to what Cassandra did. Cassie texts Shanann, and it is delivered, meaning Shanann's phone is on. Shanann's phone is not off. Shanann's phone is not in airplane mode. Shanann's phone is not. This text message was delivered because her phone was on. Okay. It would not be until they came out with that fucking stupid documentary that I was able to figure out a big piece of the puzzle to the fact that Shanann's phone was turned off, then turned back on. You guys all remember the documentary where they find the phone and it's handed over and then they just fire it up, not because it's dead. That phone was not dead. It did not die because it was out of battery. Okay, it did not shut off because it was out of battery. Shanann's phone was on inside that house. Okay. Cassie's comes through. Her timeline transactions. So let me show you what it does here. Look at this timeline transaction here. Shanann's phone right here. Central Health Physicians Group Women's Health in Erie called Shanann. Do you see this 153315? That is in line with, look at this. Shanann's phone had an appointment reminder scheduled for the time. And you see that 1-1, and then the next one here is 1-5. So we have what? We have 12, 13, and 14 missing in the same time frame that 3 timeline transactions are missing from Shanann's personal cell phone. 2 timeline transactions of the 3, they're also missing in Chris's. Why? Because they both have notifications on that have to do with the Vivint alert app ring camera. Okay. And so that's 2 are missing because of that. So then there's 1 extra that's missing from Shanann's. And guess what it is? Why aren't you talking about Cassie's text message, motherfucker? Because that's the one. The other one that you don't talk about is the 3-way text message. Where's that one? Well, you're going to see if you go actually to the previous page. That's why one of them was left off over here. Do you see how they are in order? They are in order. They're not all bunched up. They're all in order on this timeline for Shanann. So the 3 that are missing, 2 from Vivint, because NA damn walked out of that house. Walked in, walked out, or just walked out and then got hit on the camera of the ring camera. Important on the murder. We're just going to leave shit out. Y'all are wild, man. Y'all are liars. Y'all changed the fucking phone that Chris was using. So here we go. Yeah, because it's like, if Chris didn't walk up the stairs, who did to put the kids in the oil tanks, right? That's where this is headed. So then moving on here to, he's Googling lyrics. Again, they're leaving off. We're missing 801, 80. We're missing stuff. We get to here 10:28 hours, 7:99 and 7:8. So there's 3 text messages here that they say happen. And this is Chris's phone. And it says, Sandra Rusick asked Watts in a text, is Shanann okay? Watts made an unanswered call to Sandy. Why couldn't Sandy answer? Because Sandy was on 3-way with Nicole Atkinson and Cassandra at that point. So she could not answer that phone call. So Sandy sends a text message. Watts, and it says, is Shanann okay? And this is at 10:28. 10:28. And they don't use, they're using, Chris's timeline here to show that there is a text, then a call, and then look at, she called him back and held a 1-minute conversation. And what happened here is that she texted him this, but he doesn't answer it with a text. He's just going to go ahead and call, but she can't answer because she's on the phone with the other girls. And they had already at this point called Primrose. Primrose. Is Shanann okay? What about the girls? Is Shanann okay? What about the girls, But we don't know that yet. Here we go. Watts called this number, and that would be the Westin Resort, and had a nearly 2-minute call to keep up the show that they had plans coming up that weekend. No. 10:44, Sandy called Watts briefly. Again, 3-way. Watts searched the internet for Groupon to include the company, blah, blah, blah. Then Watts called Sandy and held a 1-minute Okay. 12:16. Now this is where I've got to back up here so you guys can see this. Again, this is what the gang unit is deeming important, but is leaving out all this crap. Let's go up like this. We're going to zoom out here, or I'm just going to help it like this somehow. We're just trying to do our thing here. Let me make this as clear as possible. All right. 12:16 is so important. Between 10:51, it says 7842, and 12:16, it says 7844. So there would in fact be 7843 missing. And I couldn't fucking believe it. I said, well, what the hell, man? What are you leaving out? Well, would you believe it? It was another Vivint alert. Guess who was showing up at the house for the first time? Allegedly the first time. Nicole Atkinson. But we're not going to show that there was an actual alert because then we're alerting to everybody that there are alerts. So we can't even mention that one, even though this is one that everybody can know about. We can't talk about it in this extraction because then we are letting everybody know that they had notifications on. Does that make sense? So we can't even talk about that one. And so that would happen between 10:51 and 12:15. Well, what I did, take a look. I created one of the most elaborate, hell is it? Meet Nicole Atkinson's personal life 360. And take a look. Let's see. There we go. All right, there it is. She left Longmont and went to Saratoga Trails. And it says that she left at 11:46 and that she arrived at 12:20, allegedly. This is what she says. Hey guys, I want to turn in my Life 360 app data. My whole family is on it and wants to turn this in. Okay. And I said to myself, what the fuck? I said, this B ain't arriving until 12:20. So how in the world is this going off at 12, between 10:51 and that 12:16 mark? All right, look at that. Josh Rosenberg asks Watts, hey bro, Cassie asked me if you've heard from Shanann today. And so he waits to text, all right, because he can't text anything to act like he knows anything until she has actually physically can say that she's there for the first time. All right. So this shows that she is not arriving until 12:20. And then this is when I said, something's off. So I continue. And I said, let me just put this in my back pocket about being off. So let's go ahead and take a look at, because Josh texts and says, no one's heard from Shanann today. I guess her and Nikki can't get a hold of her. Have you heard from her today? Then take a look at this. Watts took a photograph of sunflowers. 12:17. Watts' phone received an alert from his Vivint panel. They say the Vivint panel. Do you guys know where the Vivint panel is? The Vivint panel is inside the house. not on the keypad, the Vivint panel. The only way that you can get an alert that your panel and that there's a notification that your panel is doing something is if you were to actually go inside and you only have so much time to enter the passcode on the panel to shut off the alarm. You understand? Perfect. Now, why would this be happening? Well, because I realized that, holy shit, I don't think that this is Nicole Atkinson's 360 Life app. I think it's her son's. I think it's whoever came to the house to pick her up. And I think that Nicole Atkinson, when her son arrived at 12:20, she knew that he was arriving, was in the house. She was going to go on the panel, okay, and type in the panel to set the code to set the alarm on the house, which notified Chris Watts that the panel was being touched, okay? And then actually when you come out of the house, there would be the alert from the Ring camera picking you up. And all of this was happening simultaneously. And Chris is then getting these alerts, which the gang unit's leaving out on purpose, except he mentions the Vivint panel. And you'd have to ask these idiots why they wanted to mention this, but hey, I'll take it. At 12:18, in response, Watts called NA and held a 1-minute conversation because he saw her at the door. How could she be at the door if she didn't arrive until 12:20? See that? This ain't her motherfucking data. She was leaving, waiting to leave, waiting for a ride, because yours truly said that Nicole Atkinson either, one, stayed there the night before, or her husband drove her there, okay? And the more I looked at things, it made more sense that I believe that she stayed there because she was able to get a hold of Nicole Atkinson was able to get a hold of Shanann's phone right away. Okay, I think that she stayed there, stayed in the basement because of the phone calls that came from Sandy to Primrose so early. Why are they calling Primrose, but nobody is calling Shanann Watts's phone? There's only one reason that you wouldn't call somebody's phone. I'd be blowing up my son unless I knew my son didn't have his phone and because somebody's telling me I am at the house. I have Shanann's phone. Nobody's here. Did she go to take the kids to school? Because the car, did she go on a walk? So I call her mom and let her know, hey, in Arizona, things were wild as fuck. We found all this shit out about Chris cheating, blah, blah, blah. It was nuts. She was out of, but the mother never calls Shanann's phone one time before she calls Primrose. Why? You would never do that. You would try to call your daughter. Your daughter's not answering. And then all of a sudden, even if your daughter's not answering, you just call the school because you want to say, oh, are the kids there? But why would you do that? Somebody would have to tell you something. But back all the way, fuck up. Nobody called Shanann's phone. Cassie didn't call Shanann's phone. Cassie texted. Nobody called Shanann's phone except for Chris that morning. Chris made the stage call. Chris made the text message. One text message or two came from Cassie. But, I thought NA was making these text messages. Well, then where are they in the timeline, right? Where are these text messages? There's nothing missing in the timeline for these alleged text messages to occur between NA and Shanann that were happening allegedly in the morning, right? Right. But right here, I said to myself, okay, fuck all of this. There is no way in hell that Sandy or Shanann's dad is not calling their daughter, except for one reason. You know that she does not have her cell phone because NA called you and says, I have her cell phone. I have it right here. I have her cell phone. It's on. And then, Lana, how do you know? Come on, but there's a chance that didn't happen. Well, let me tell you what happens next. I always try to play devil's advocate with myself. Okay, no, dude, what happened next, right? Well, what I realize is that, let's take a look here. The car is parked then. So Nicole Atkinson wants us to believe that she arrives at 12:20 and that she stays at the house until 12:47 for 26 minutes. Okay, 26 minutes. Because that was the first time that she ever got there. In her interview, she said that at 10:41, I drove out to Longmont because I was helping Cassie look for homes and she had an appointment. And so I went out there and I tried to, I went and saw this house for her. Then, since I couldn't still get a hold of Shanann, I then left Longmont, right? And then I drove straight from Longmont to her house. So that's what this shows. Then I went one step further and I said, wait a second, you got a little baby girl. Where was little baby girl? Okay. Because we've all seen the body cams and we know that the son and the baby girl were with Nicole Atkinson. Okay. Were with Nicole Atkinson in body cam when the police arrived to try to go in that house, right? Right. So wait a second. So you're going to tell me that you left your house at 10:41 with your daughter, little baby girl daughter, and your son, who's teenager. Why would I want to go with my mom and drive all over and do fuck? No, I'm not doing any of that shit. But here, you pile everybody in your car to go out to Longmont at 10:41. You get there at 11:15. Then you're there until 11:45, whatever time, whatever time. Then you leave. And then you arrive back and then you get to Shanann's at 12:20, which would mean that you'd have every single person with you, meaning your son and your daughter, right? Or is it that you were at the house and your son drove out to Longmont to go pick up your daughter because your sister, who's a babysitter, was watching your daughter? Because when you went on your trip with Shanann, did your husband watch the little baby girl or was your family watching your little baby girl? And is that why your son actually had to drive out there to pick up little baby girl, go pick her up, and then come and pick me up, and then, and then come here? I've been to Frederick, and I drove the route to go from NA's house to Shanann's house like 15 times, and I did it at night during the time frame of when they would have gotten back from Arizona to drop off Shanann and then head to Nicole Atkinson's house. And I clocked it. And I was looking at this and I'm like, what in the world? I said, this doesn't take this long. What the fuck was she doing? This isn't right. I'll get to that. So I did my own reenactment. I was like, none of this is right. Then I get my hands on Nate the neighbor's video. Okay. And Nate the neighbor's video. So let me ask you something. This is when she says that during the 26 minutes, we have this Vivint alert going off, saying that people are in the house. Chris is then calling her back saying, what the heck's going on? Like, read this stuff. He's like, here. At 12:27, Watts called. Like, I just saw Nikki on the doorbell cam. Look at 12:27. Watts called. Ann Meadows. Hi, I'm working. 12:31. Addie. Watts, if Shanann's okay, everyone's worried. It's not like her. We haven't heard from her all day. Addie again. She's all the way. Addie, then why didn't you call her phone? Addie, you didn't make one phone call to Shanann. So what do you mean you're worried about her? Wouldn't you fucking call her? Wouldn't you fucking text her? You never did. Why? Because you know she doesn't have her phone. That's why. None of you guys called her. Why? Because you knew that she didn't have her phone. Who had it? These messages were also found in Shanann's phone because Ann Meadows created a three-way text. Okay. When she was texting Watts, and they were all three-way texting. Remember I said in the beginning, all those texts were out of place because the gang unit fucking again tries to pull some shit at the end. And I'm just like, why? Like, leave it be. Where did Watts say he saw her on the body cam or the he saw her. They then okay, see that's where it says 12:41. Watts called and how the 40-second conversation. It's because the alarm was going off yet again. He's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing there? Like, what's going on? It's because they shut the door of the garage and they ran under it and closed it all up like that. But what they did is they then took Shanann's phone with them because they knew that it was loaded up with evidence. Lana, how do you know that they took the phone with them? Well, let me tell you how I know. Shanann had a little system on her phone that was if you were driving and you tried to text her, it would tell you that it would send back a notification that says, sorry, driving, can't, that automatic response. So if you're going more than like 5 or 10 miles an hour, it kicks in, that type of shit. Shanann had that on her phone. And what Nicole Atkinson did not do is when Nicole Atkinson left to go, when she says that she makes this infamous trip to the doctors to go and see if Shanann attended her doctor's appointment. Okay. So she goes there because she has to do this because she can't act like she doesn't know that Shanann didn't have the doctor's appointment because of her phone, because there was a voicemail on her phone that, that you missed it. And all you have to do on the iPhones is actually get into it. They knew her password. And if you just press the button, you don't even have to listen to it. You could just see the words of like the message. But hey, we can't act like we know this, but we can act like we knew that she had a doctor's appointment. Okay. So go there. And so what I noticed here is that Nate, the neighbor's camera comes out and you see that Nicole Atkinson is sitting in the passenger seat of her own vehicle, which means only one thing, that her son was driving. Okay. Just like I said, her son came to pick her ass up. Her son's driving. And so those of you guys that, was her son even a driver? He's driving. You see that she's in the passenger seat with her white sunglasses on top of her head. And they're driving and they're going to make this trip right here, which is 12:47 to 1:13. Oh, balls deep. Right there. Look at that. See this 12:47 to 1:13, 25 minutes? Do you see how it's a consecutive? Okay. Do you see how the end point is also the beginning point right there? Let me show you. Because it goes up this way. So, but the end point is also the beginning point. So I call up the damn people that own Life 360 app. All right. Because I go out and get Life 360 app. And I start acting like, that I have this app, and I started asking questions. And the biggest question I had is, well, Nicole Atkinson said that she drove to the doctor's office. She then gets out of the car, goes into the doctor's office, has a conversation with the receptionist. And she's like, I know that it's a HIPAA violation. You can't tell me certain things, but I just need to know. Don't tell me, did my friend show up for the appointment? And she's like, and we got the lady, and the lady said, no, she wasn't here. And that's all she gave me. And then I left and I went then back to Shanann's house. Okay. So what do I do when I'm in Frederick? I take my happy ass from Shanann's house and I go to the doctor's office and I get out of the car with my Life 360 app. And my phone on me. And I get out of the car. I walk up to the door. I stand there. I act like I'm having a conversation with myself. And then 10 seconds. And that's me being kind to say that I think that it would have been a little bit longer than that, but I'm playing devil's advocate. And then let's get back into this vehicle. Let's walk back to the vehicle. Let's get in the vehicle. And then we're heading then back to Shanann's, right? And I wanted to take a look at what my Life 360 app looked like compared to what this looked like. Meaning the person that this belongs to never got out of the vehicle and took any steps out of the vehicle. They literally just drove to a location, okay? Drove here, looped into the fucking parking lot, looped out and went back, started and ended, and it was all the same trip. It was never broken up by any steps getting out of the car. How's that possible? Well, if it belongs to Nicholas, Nicky, Nick, the son, he was the driver. He never got out of the car, right? And if they just truly just went there and acted like, and it was just formality, number one. Number two, if Nicole Atkinson truly was the one that got out and came back in, that's not her phone. It's not her data. And his just shows that, he's there. But when I went, it broke up my drive into two separate drives. It didn't have it as one. It had me getting out and making my steps in between driving there and driving back. And that's not on here. Okay. Now, who goes through all of this? Why couldn't you just say that you slept there or that you went there earlier, that you had her cell phone? Like, why does any of this? And it's because I believe at the time, they thought that Shanann, dude, she was out of control in Arizona. She was, and then we're talking. She's looking at all this stuff. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking kill him. Look at all this fucking shit I found out, blah, blah, blah. The plan she was gonna throw all of his shit outside the house and that, we were taking the kids and she was gonna, whatever. There was a plan after she found all of this. It's not about guilt. This is just like, they're over here still like, because at the time, everybody knew that Chris was such a good guy. We're wondering truly what has happened. Did Shanann do anything? Is Shanann responsible for anything? Did Shanann, do something? But we can't tell the officers that we feel that. Okay, we're not going to go throw Shanann under the bus. So, love you, Lana. You own this case. I am this case, motherfucker. Thank you, Too Legit to Quit. Hey, Too Legit. But this isn't rocket science for like these dudes that are doing like this shit. So let me ask you guys this. They leave and they go right back to the house and they're at the house. Obviously they park and they're at the house from 1:13 until 3:46. They're there until, for 2 hours and 33 minutes. Now let's go back to this. And Watts is like, what the fuck are you doing at the house? What's going on? Why y'all there? Then you're jumping up and down on the garage. But how about Nosy Nate? Nosy Nate, why aren't you producing the camera to show Nicole Atkinson backing up her vehicle so that her son can get on the trunk or the top of the hood to look in to see that Shanann's car is in there and that the car seats are in there? Where is that on camera? Why have we never seen that to this day? Well, because that's not what they did. Okay. They just said that that's what they did. Nicole Atkinson knew that nobody was in that house. Okay. The kids weren't in there. That's why when they got in there, they're not running around trying to find anybody. Why would Nick, if you're looking for people, I never knew that you're going to look for people under cushions. I've never tried to go look for people under cushions if I would think somebody would be passed out or unconscious. And no. During the time, and I'd have to go get my other binder really quick. I went through every single interview. I read every single interview that was ever made in this case, to the point of I could probably play anybody's role and get on the stand and be like, yeah, this is what I did that day. One of the people that Shanann was friends with and that the family was friends with was fucking what's her tits? She was at a funeral in Kentucky, and she was coming back. And when she had landed from coming back, she had texted Shanann. And during her interview, help me out there, True Tam. What the hell's her name? Fuck. It's gonna bother me. During her interview, she had said, yeah, no, we were out of town. Shanann had asked me to watch the kids, that they were going to go away for a trip. Yes, Amanda Thayer, there you go. And she's like, yeah, when I had landed from coming from Kentucky, she was in Kentucky for a funeral. And so what I do is my ass goes and I look up every fucking flight that came from Kentucky to Colorado that she could have possibly been on. And so I made my list. All right. Because I knew what time she said she had landed based on her interview. And that she said that she landed and that she had notifications about Shanann. And that's when she texted Shanann. And during a text message of Shanann, when she was trying to find Shanann, there was a response that said, I'm driving right now. I will get back to you when I get to my location. You know, that automated response. And I about shit a brick. I said, wait a second. Hold on one second. What time? Because this is me going through to put all this together. I said, how would it be possible if Shanann's phone is in the house? Could it be possible that that Amanda Thayer could possibly get a text message of that automated saying that the phone had to be moving at a certain rate of speed, which would mean you're driving, or you could be a passenger in a car, in order to get that message? How is that possible? And I said, well, fuck. What time did that happen at? So let me pull you guys something. I'm going to pull the Amanda Thayer interview. And these fucking tricky bastards, they whited out and changed the time that Amanda Thayer's plane landed and tried to change the time that Amanda Thayer made her texting and phone calls to Shanann. Why? Because they added up perfectly in between one trip and one trip only during this drive right here. When Amanda Thayer got off the plane and texted, it was between this time frame. They had to change that because then it puts Nicole Atkinson with the phone. You understand what I'm saying? But that's what they did. They weren't going to leave that phone, so they brought it with them. They just forgot to turn it off. So when that happened, and that's what triggered and reminded fucking what's her tits, NA, that, hey, we got to call Amanda Thayer, you know what I mean, and let her know what's up a little bit. But that's the time frame of when Amanda Thayer texted Shanann. Now, Lana, how in the fuck did they get the phone back in that house? Well, it's easy. You go the fuck back in the house. And that's what was happening when they got back there. Let's take a look. Cassie just goes crazy on Chris, right? Remember that? So 12:43, Cassie told Watts, Shannon's in a very bad emotional place, blah, blah, blah. Minutes later, Cassie tells Watts, da-da-da-da. Let's go right here. 13:03 would be 1:03 p.m. Cassie's still going ham. Look at this. Right here. 1:07 to right there, 1:13. Check this out. 1:13. 1:07, 1:13. You see that? 1:07, 1:13. Now, what time did they get back to the house? 1:13. See that? Now let's see how many timeline transactions are missing after 113. See what happens. At 114, Ann Meadows asked if Watts preferred a 3-car garage. 131, NA called Watts twice. Okay. We're missing, though, 88 and 89. See that? We're missing 2 timeline transactions between 114 and 131. Why? Because it's going in and coming out of that fucking house. Those are the timeline transactions of the Vivint. Because they had not latched over yet that front door. Also, Nicole Atkinson was watching that house when she was in North Carolina. And did you just supply what? Oh, the code to get in? That's going to all be on there. But how ironic is it that at 114, right after, so she gets back, literally comes right, that's right when she gets back to the house. 114, we're hiding 2 timeline transactions between 114 and 131. And you'd have to then look at Shanann's phone. Does Shanann's phone, is she missing 2 timeline transactions? Well, this time after Amanda Thayer called, Nicole Atkinson freaked out and she shut off the fucking phone. That is why when they found the phone, it was actually turned off. Now, how do I know this? Because Chris Watts, on his way home, we don't find this out until Netflix does a documentary. And they tell the world that Chris Watts made a staged phone call on his way home from Serby to the Watts. And I was watching this Netflix and I about lost it. And I said, wait a second, that's not the time that's on. That's not the time that we have. We don't have that time. They released the wrong to Netflix. Netflix put out in the Discovery, they gave us the opposite phone. But in the Netflix, they gave the other phone's info, meaning this. Let's go to... They say right here in the Discovery that at 214, I'm sorry, 211. Nope, let's go right here. 210. Christina Meacham asked Watts, what is going on? Where are you? We are so worried. Okay. 7897. Look at that. 7891. There are 6 timeline transactions missing right there. Then 211. Watts sent another staged message to Shanann's phone and it says, where are you? This is what we get from Colorado in November of 2018. You're telling me that that staged phone call was at 211 because you're using Watts's phone to produce it, right? Right. When I watched the Netflix documentary, I said, holy shit. They're saying that it came across the bubble and it said, Watts makes a staged phone call. And it says 119. 119. See that number right there? 119. I said, wait, what the fuck? I said, how could it be that on Chris's phone, it's showing 211? I'm sorry. How could it be that on, like, see this right here, 42? On Shanann's phone, it's saying that Watts sent another staged message to Shanann's phone, and it's showing from Shanann's phone that it was at 211. See that? They're using her phone and they're using her timeline transactions. That's her shit. But in the Netflix original, they use Chris's phone. They make a huge mistake. Not that they made one because Netflix didn't realize that the fucking LE was trying to hide all this shit. But they use Chris's phone. And Chris's phone makes it at 119. And I said, holy shit, this is the proof. This proves that Shanann's phone was off and that the reason that it doesn't come through on Shanann's phone until 211, go watch the Netflix documentary. It's because that's when the phone was fucking turned back on when Chris Watts gets back the fuck up in there. Nick finds the phone, hands it to Chris. Chris turns out the motherfucker without charging it up. And then what happens? Oh, all these things come through, all these fucking text messages, all in a row at once. But what came in before all of Nicole Atkinson's staged motherfucking texts? Chris's alleged stage. Well, we know that Chris sent this because we have his phone records and they gave it to us in the documentary. 119 is actually when that happened. The only reason that Shanann's phone shows 211 is because that's when the phone was turned back on. So who shut off Shanann's phone if nobody truly was in that house to shut it off? Because all the other ones, if her phone was off the whole fucking day, all these other text messages that were like Cassie texting, they would have all come through at 211. But they don't. They come through at, 8:53. Then another one came in at 9. Then the health people call at 10:06. All of that stuff is lining up perfectly until Nicole Atkinson shuts off the fucking phone. Nicole Atkinson was in that home. Why can't we just tell the truth about it? Who gives a fuck? She went in there because her friend, she knew what was going on. Something was off. Who gives a royal red ass about it all? Right? Dude, why would law enforcement think we have to protect Nicole Atkinson here? So we're going to lie about all of this shit. Why would you ever do that? Who cares? Let her explain what the fuck she did. And okay, she slept there. Why? Well, because shit was crazy and Shanann was just not acting. They're going to have to explain Shanann's state of mind, which killed the state's case. Again, am I going to sit here and tell you that Chris Watts is fucking innocent and he's some great dude? Absolutely not. I think he's a pussy ass bitch. Take it to the bank. All right. He cares more about, oh my God, I have this girl I'm dating online and oh my God, I'm not going to go forward with my 35C because she's getting threatened. Your family's been getting threatened the whole fucking time. He's never once given a fuck about his family. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You killed your fucking wife and you killed your kids, but did you have help? That's the question. You're exactly where you should be, but I'm pissed because law enforcement can't be going around doing this type of shit. Okay? They just can't. And why? Well, because whatever was truly going on, this is why this case never went to trial, because they couldn't try it, because it's... Is there a chance that what Chris is saying is true? That Shanann killed the kids and he killed Shanann because she killed the kids? Maybe not, maybe so. But I can tell you, if it went to trial, a jury would see all this shit and they're not able to prove who actually killed the kids. And that's a problem, right? And then he's over here acting like he could have done all this in self-defense or that he had this rage and it was a rage killing, right? And now you're just... They knew what they knew because they had the phones. And so they go ahead and they doctor up a fucking police report. This is not just a police report. This is an expert witness testimony that somebody was about to testify to. You understand that? And saying that this is truly what happened that day. None of this is what happened that day. Not in this order. You're hiding who has phones, what phone he was using. You're hiding who was in that house. You're leaving out transactions on the day of the murder. Why? Well, because it doesn't fit your narrative. This could not go to trial. They were not going to. This was going to be awful for them. They needed to make a plea deal, and that's what they did. So what they did is, I don't even know if this was ever shown. His defense team was fucking pathetic. Okay? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. And that's all that I wanted to talk about in just in terms of like, this is the shit y'all did. And and if somebody else had anything to do with the murders in little girls' murders, you would think that you would want them to, be held accountable. But it was like, at what expense? at what expense, and it was going to be at the expense of, if this went to trial, that there are certain things that we can't keep from coming out, and there's certain things that are going to look really, really bad. Was it at all that Shanann was actually planning and plotting to blame Chris? Did she ask NA to spend the night so that she had like an alibi, that when she woke up she was going to say that the girls were already? We don't know any of that, okay? But I think that it's very sus, and not just that law enforcement would put it in their own hands to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and hide half of this shit. This is going to be what we're going to testify to, and we're going to do it through an expert witness. This is like a Murdoch murder timeline that they put together. And this is just wild to me, that law enforcement would ever think that you came to me and said, hey, I saw your report. There's no way that you can have this and this, and you're going to take that shit out. And that the person did it. And that you had these two fucking gang unit guys that were going to go ahead and testify to this shit. This was put out in Discovery. I didn't make this up. This isn't not mine. And I don't care how guilty somebody is. You do it the right way, because how about when someone's not guilty and law enforcement thinks that they are, or they're going to just do something their way and they go ahead and do this, and then an innocent person goes to prison for the rest of their lives. And let me tell you something, it's happening all the time, because we're letting people get away with doing this shit. Oh, who cares? He's guilty. Who cares about any of this? No, it matters. You can't have these fucking people in law enforcement. You just can't. And when you see something, you say something. And this is what I uncovered. And it does not mean that Chris Watts is not guilty. It means that these fucking employees need to not have a fucking job doing what they're doing. Period. But I don't give a shit, because guess what? It's Colorado, right? And y'all can have these shit bags. Colorado can have these fucking piece of shit bags. Cheating ass motherfuckers that are, it matters when it's what? You got the Suzanne Morphew case, right? Same motherfuckers are on the case. No wonder nothing's going on with Suzanne Morphew's case. Because you got people like this. You got people like this involved in the BCI and the FBI. Fuck that, man. This is absolute fucking bullshit. But this doesn't mean that Chris Watts is innocent. It just means that you're a shitty ass person, and you're shitty at your job, and you have no fucking cahoons to tell the person that asked you to do this to go fuck themselves. I'm not doing this shit. You fucking go do this if you want to say this shit. I'm not saying this. You extracted the data. It's right in front of your face, and you think you're going to lie and switch fucking phones up and act like Chris Watts didn't walk up there. Who did? But y'all don't care. I would care if it was my grandkid, my child. I'd give a fuck. Who the hell put my kid in oil? If it wasn't Chris. Well, who cares? Well, okay. But you got a case in Suzanne Morphew. And people are like, Gary, Barry's so guilty, so guilty, so guilty. I don't know how I feel about it. I just think that Colorado is so corrupt that people think that they've seen stuff and, oh, well, did you look at the evidence? Did you look at this? Fuck you guys. Did I look at this? What they gave us to look at? No. Give me everything, a Discovery, unredacted, and then I'll tell you what I think. But if it's coming out of Colorado, fuck Colorado. Because it's just crazy, I know that Jane Fisher took on Barry Morphew's civil case. I know that they found Suzanne Morphew's remains where some cult bullshit was going on. But what sucks is that if somebody like Barry Morphew did it and he's going to walk because people like this are in positions that they're in, shame, I feel bad for Suzanne Morphew's family. Suzanne Morphew deserves justice. Somebody, killed her. Do I think that Barry Morphew is probably guilty? Yeah, but it's Colorado, man. Do I think that he was chasing around squirrels? You guys see that he was opening and closing his door a bunch of times, and or chickmunks, whatever it was. He was opening and closing his door a bunch in the middle of the night. Yeah, but this type of stuff, man, somebody that you should be getting and putting away, you can't because of the people that you're employing. And love has won cults, but Colorado can be messed up and Barry can be guilty. Both can be true. Oh, for sure. Your common sense would tell you that Barry Morphew is who else would kill her, right? And I also think that why don't you guys look and see where her daughters truly were that night, because that was COVID and they canceled a bunch of shit. So I don't believe that they would have been at no Christian or whatever church thing that they went for some camping thing. I did my research on that and I thought it was canceled. So, I don't know. Canceled Mother's Day. Yeah. Who knows? But you will find out, Lana. Now I don't care enough to find out. This case right here, they can have it. The Watts case, to me, I cared about proving the digitals about it. So I care about doing things the right way. I care about justice. I care about transparency. I care about truth. I care about the victims and the families of, even if your loved one is somebody that is found guilty of a horrible, heinous crime, it does not mean that you're a victim too. And it really pains me when I see people attacking family of somebody. I mean, they have nothing to do. I'm sorry, but Chris Watts' family has nothing to do with what Chris Watts did that day. That's just to go. Their lives are forever ruined. I think people that have bullied the Rusiks, you guys are fucking pathetic. I think Thrive is for shit. I think the MLM community, it grooms you to lie and act like your life is something that it's not. So you're just lying all the time. You're just lying about everything. You're living a lie. And I think that type of atmosphere plays in my personal opinion, into what occurred here. Chris is a yes man. Chris is a master planner. I've talked to Chris, not because I've wanted to. People told me that he was sticking by his story, that he didn't kill his kids. And if that's the case, then why don't you appeal and, do it for your family? Why don't you make it known to your family that you didn't kill your kids, right? If you didn't kill your kids, who would ever say that they killed their kids if they didn't fucking kill their kids, right? How do you even come back from that? So I have no sympathy for Chris Watts. I think Chris Watts, like I said, is just a complete fuck. Do I think that you kill somebody for a piece of pussy that you just found a couple weeks ago? I think if you do that, then you're even bigger fucking idiot. No, I'm not in the minds of either one of those two people, Shanann. I think that they both failed their kids. I think that those girls deserve so much more, and the unborn baby, and as parents, you're supposed to protect your kids. And I just don't see that either one of them, if Chris was so off the, hinges, why did you go to Arizona, take your kids? If he wanted you to abort your other baby, and that you didn't, oh my God, ever since he said that I don't trust him. Well, then that means you left your daughters with him that you didn't trust after he said he wanted you to abort your baby. Why would you leave your kids with a man that you didn't trust? That doesn't make any sense to me, and anybody that's going to say that, just like I don't believe it makes sense to me that you would have a birthday party without the dad. You'd have a birthday party a week later, and you'd have, your husband and the father of your baby there, and the daughters would want that, and the family, and just creating drama, creating situations that were confrontational. That's not healthy. I think that a lot of insecurity issues. they didn't obviously have the life that they portrayed. And who was portraying that? You know, Shanann was portraying that. It was not Chris. Chris was out working every day, coming home. Here, you know, he never even saw the money. He was not out spending money at some like going shopping or anything like that. They wanted to send their kids to Primrose. I mean, that shit was super expensive. There's no money for that. Yeah. But to do all of this is by law enforcement is truly unfortunate. True Tam, I'm going to drop the link here for you, and I want you to tell me what you think, True Tam, and then I'm going to close it out. Again, there you go, True Tam. Hit that link, woman. I don't think that Chris Watts had to stand up after Nutgate about that. It should have been something that happened way before Nutgate, you know, about that birthday party. So I don't even think that should have been, that should have never even, that should have been discussed, you know, way before. Yeah, True Tam. Oh, wait, let me see. Let's see. God, this binder is such a shitty binder. Tam, what are you doing? Take that link, girl. Ah, True Tam. Hey, True Tam, how are you? Doing? Take that link, girl. Oh, mute that shit, girl. I don't film my kids and don't play into the MLS and can't stand that he got the kitchen. It's honestly their fault, in my opinion. True Tam, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, hey,
I'm
how
good.
are you? You're in the green room?
Hang on 1 second. I got to get rid of.
Nancy, Georgia, Mike. Look at all you guys. Look at all the gifts.
I don't know.
True Tam, I thought you were ready for this shit.
I am, but hang on.
I'm just messing with you.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, girl, I can hear you now.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. When I clicked on the link, it still had you playing in the background on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then my mouse was frozen and it wouldn't move. So I'm sorry. Hello. I'm so happy to be here finally.
I know. What's up, True Tam? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for coming to the party today.
You know what? I always come to see you shake your ass, girl.
Oh, yes, queen.
Well,
it's because of Mike. You know, our girl Mike dropping. She's always shaking her ass around.
She's the best. She's phenomenal mom, phenomenal human, great friend.
Is.
Yeah, she's a great girl.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what do you? I know. Are you still talking about
everything today that you put out? Loved every freaking bit of it.
You like that shit? I'm trying to find one of my old. Okay, here you go. There was 72 timeline transactions missing from Chris Watts' cell phone that day that law enforcement thought that it was a good idea that they could go ahead and, you know, do. And then when I went ahead and put together, let's see what this was. I'm trying to find the one I want to show. I think it's more like the day. Okay, here it is. There we go. I'm going to zoom in. This is from Shanann's phone. And take a look at this. I don't know if anyone's really ever seen this, but this is Shanann's activity that day and see how everything goes in. You know, it has its time slot. And if the phone was off that whole day, like if he shut it off, like when he left and hid his phone or whatever, or hid the phone.
Yep.
Oh, let me see if I can make this bigger. That's not big enough for me. Oh, there we go. And then let me see if I can make it clear. Okay. That's about as good as it's gonna up. There you go. Yeah, but so all of those coming in at 7:40, 8:25, it has its spot, 9 o'clock, 9:05, 9:46, 10:03, and then right here they choose to have it as a they leave out that timeline transaction, and that's when I realized that all they did was move stuff up because this actually is right over in here.
Yep.
And so, but they did that on purpose to try to like not have people pay attention to the three-way text message because that actually went through as well. And then all of these after 10 right here. So I counted all of these. And what I was able to do, I took all of Ann Meadows' text messages that were the three ways. And so when I counted all of these and I counted all of her text messages and then Chris's responses, I was able to show that the majority are from that three-way text. The other ones are from the Vivint. And then here we get to this, which is proving that Chris Watch's alleged staged text message that he sent at 1:19, it goes through on her phone at 2:12. That's because that's what time the phone, was turned on back on.
I said that when you were talking about that because we're actually on body cam at 2:11.
Yeah. And if you go and you check it, it's right there, and that's when it gets turned on. And what's great about it is that when your phone is turned off, it queues everything up. It queues it up so it still comes in and still produces in the order that it was,
sent,
that you had sent it. And so all of these text messages that end up coming through at like 2:14 here, this is NA's messages that she was trying to give in her interview saying, I sent this at this timestamp, which was, at 6 or 7 in the morning, then at this and at this and at this. And
but
I said to myself,
if they were all just coming in at 2:14.
Yeah, because she had sent those after her phone was turned off.
Right.
And it had to be at least after Chris sent the 1:19 because this came in front of those. So it's this stuff doesn't lie. Data doesn't lie. There's no room for her mom to call. There's no room. There's no Addie calls. There's no, her mom calls. There's no text messages from them. And that's what sold me on the fact of you only do that if you know that someone doesn't have their phone, because you can't say that we're trying to get in touch with you and I can't get in touch with Shanann. Where is she? You didn't even call her. You didn't even text her, and
no, 100%. And this is a big thing too, that a lot of people misinterpret if they are actually looking at discovery, is anything to do with their routers and their phones. They're set to North Carolina, right? Because both Chris and Shanann's phones were North Carolina phone numbers, and their router was set to North Carolina time. So anything on the router. So when they said that
I don't believe that.
Yeah, the router, it says it right in the discovery that the router was set to North Carolina. It's in like big letters and brackets. And both their personal phone numbers were 910, which isn't Colorado.
Yeah, but I mean.
So when Monet tried to take out the hair care stuff at 2 a.m., that was really happening at midnight. Because North Carolina is 2 hours ahead of Colorado. So when Sandy had her big vision of her daughter at 4 a.m., it was at 2 a.m. when Shanann was just getting home. But yet she still never called her daughter. If my daughter comes to me dead at any time in my life, I'm calling my daughter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm calling my daughter, period. I mean, I'm calling my kid, period.
I'm going to call her way before I'm going to call her husband or the school or anybody else. I'm calling her.
Yeah. And then this is Chris's stuff. This is Chris's phone.
Yeah.
And if you see it's blacked out, they like left it out.
Which again, why though? Why are they leaving this stuff out? What does this stuff say that would contradict everything else you're trying to tell us?
Well, here, let's take
not
a look
you.
at...
I mean the law. Not you.
Yeah. So
not you.
Yeah. No, I think the big thing for me when I truly looked at this, it was in between certain certain times that were left off. Here, right in there.
Yeah.
All the Groupon, they're saying that took up all of those. Then right here, 10:51 to 12:16, that is NA being totally seen walking out of the house right before her son arrives, at 12:20. How are you setting off the Vivint before you actually arrive at 12:20? Those actually Life 360 apps are so money, man. Like I said, I went and got one on my phone so I could do it all. And it is not like, oh, it's just off a couple minutes. No, you guys, it's not. It's not. That stuff is accurate, man. That stuff is way accurate. And to the point that I was just like, damn, So when I went ahead and took everything that they did, I produced this and it was just like, there's the panel Vivint alert. Again, the panel Vivint alert is happening, 3 minutes, which means you're inside. Not only are you like, you have to get there at 12:20, but then you have to get out of the car and walk and stuff like that. And it's just, the Vivint alert. Then here, Chris Watts is calling, and he says when he's actually writing his witness statement, he actually writes it out. That's what I went off of. And he actually writes out because he has his phone, and he's like, he sees NA on the, he sees her on the camera, and and let's see, hold on one second, let me clear that, or make it more clear, I should say. Yeah, so then Chris Watts calls NA and talk on the phone. Watts texts Josh back, because he had texted at 12:16. Or I'm sorry, Josh texts Watts back, then Watts they're going back and forth. Then Watts calls NA for 2.5 minutes. Look at, and in NA's interview, she's talking about how she made these phone calls. No.
Right.
He always called you. And why are you telling law enforcement that you were calling him? That's not what the facts show. The facts show, and that's the evidence in the courtroom. You in fact did not call. It was Chris that actually called you, and he's calling you because why? He's seeing you on, and see, Chris Watts didn't know how important this was at the time to just see, like, he's not, okay, wait, she's in the house. No, he doesn't see that she's in the house. He sees that these alerts are going off. He sees her outside of the house.
Right.
But the whole Ann Meadows group messages that they try to move around was just really sad to see. Watts calls NAC like again at 12:41 because it's like, dude, you're setting off the alarm again. Like, what are you doing?
Right. And that's the thing that I found funny too. When she's in her interview, which I brought up on my live today, is a lot of people also don't know that both Troy McCoy and Atkinson, by Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m., Atkinson's being interviewed by the FBI for the second time. They don't even interview Chris until that night. But by 2 o'clock on Tuesday, they've already interviewed Atkinson twice. And that's why when he's questioning her and he says to her, okay, and he's trying to figure out the time frame. Okay, so you set the alarm off at 12:17 and then Chris called you. And then you said you left and you drove to the doctor's appointment to see if Shanann, so that took you about how long, and you got back around when? Well, she's totally off on all of it. And she's using your phone to prove to this FBI agent that she's lying. Like the whole thing is off on her time frames. And like you said, with the phone calls and that 360 app, there's no way that's her app. And on top of which, if you look right at it, where the car is sitting for 26 minutes, they're not at Shanann's. They're at 2801.
Well, they always actually, that's not true. So what they do with Life 360 app is they always put it a couple addresses away. So that's normal. So that's normal. They actually are there. They just, that's part of what Life 360 app does. So they usually put it that, yeah. So I've looked into that. That's all that means. But I think the selling point to me is that you make one continuous loop to go to the doctors and come back. You never got out of the car. You never talked to anybody. You know, none of that is true. And you're just trying to cover for the fact that you had the cell phone, that you were actually in the house. And she says, am I going to get arrested? Why in the world would Nicole Atkinson get arrested?
Right. That was my big thing too. That was a huge red flag for me at the get-go, because I thought, well, wait a minute, not even 12 hours ago, like
the cops
you were
caught
calling
your
it
lies.
Secret Service.
You know,
like you wanted the Marines, you wanted the Navy, you wanted everybody 12 hours ago.
She wanted the
right. It's a big inconvenience now because the FBI has a couple more questions for you.
I just, you know, the evidence does not point to that Nicole, Kessinger was at the house. It was, in fact, it was Nicole Atkinson, and I'm not sitting here saying that. I don't know why everybody wants to be like, okay, that Nicole Kessinger had something to do with this. If Colorado wants to let somebody like Nicole Kessinger off, and then I'm sorry, like that's on the family to ever want to take a plea deal like that. That's on the state, and it's.
Well, it's huge.
Who would ever allow that? Like nobody wants to talk about that, and it's like, well,
there are people who have lost loved ones to a car accident, and it's a car accident. You've seen it; it's there, right? But I've never in my life come across anybody, family or friend, who's lost somebody so horrifically, yet they blatantly don't give two craps that there's physical evidence proving that others are involved. Like there are 8 fingerprints on the footprint on the garbage bag. They don't match Shanann or Chris. That's a problem. There's a Starbucks cup in the garbage that was bought that morning at 9:57 a.m. in the drive-thru. Well, we know where Chris is because the geotab told us, and his phone, and the work phone, and his Apple Watch.
I told you, we already know whose that is.
Yeah.
That's either her son's or Nicole Atkinson's fucking shit.
Yeah.
But
there's 2 blue Nitrel gloves that Chris isn't gonna, if he's gonna confess, he's certainly not gonna put gloves on in his own damn house to touch his own damn family.
No.
Because they even asked Frank flat out, Frank, like, is your DNA gonna be there? Yep, 100%, because I was there when they went to San Diego.
Thanks a little bit. Appreciate you. It's, and I have no desire to honestly talk about the case at all. Yeah. And why is because I have no desire to help people or be part of anything to do with anyone that has zero respect for, the person that's, going to help them. But more importantly, like there's so many more people that I'd rather give my help to, and that this is a waste of my fucking time. But I wanted to show my work to show that if I speak on something, I don't speak on shit that I can't back up with evidence and
100%.
Period. I don't go and I didn't start a YouTube channel just to talk about make shit up like everybody was doing in this case, which I think is complete fucking bullshit. And I'm sorry, but I think I've kind of done a really good job of that just not being able to happen in the Idaho 4 case, because
Yep.
I just keep pumping out, like, if you want the facts about the Idaho 4 case, you know where to come. If you want to go and just be in a chat and just talk about fucking these wild theories and, I don't know, waste your time and do that because you're bored, you need some friends, sure, okay, whatever, you know, go have
Yeah.
your little chats or whatever. But what people were doing in the Watts cases, they were feeding off of each other with the lies. They were egging each other on. The creators were doing it, and then they were doing it together. And I witnessed it, and I was like, y'all are fucking sick. And it's the worst trolling I've ever seen in my life coming from those groups. And I think it had a lot to do with COVID, the MLM community, and it's, I think it was at a time that Facebook was starting to clamp down on, you know, you can't create these accounts and you can't do certain shit. And then it just, like I said, with the Netflix documentary kind of came out at that time when COVID, people aren't working, so you're on your computer. But to troll the way that people were trolling, and it's just like dude, your life is such shit, man. Like, this is why I just don't talk to you guys. Like, your life is such shit that you have a family and you're not hanging out with your husband, or you're not hanging out with your kids, or and then you're just making up all these alts, and this is all you're fucking doing, and for what? Like, you ain't making no money off of it. You're not. It's like, dude, you have some fucking serious mental issues, you know, and that's how it is, and you know, there. And I think the best part about it is that I look back at it and I see who the cream of the crop was and who wasn't, and they all washed each other. Like, look at where you're at now, motherfucker. Look at where the fuck you are.
Oh, everyone.
And that's my fucking glory, and I'm just like, yeah, look at you.
Well, like, for me, like, the only thing I talk about is the facts and what happened. Like, the evidence, I can say to you, okay, it's in this video, or it's on this page, or whatever that is. That's what I talk about, because that's what is supposed to get you either convicted or innocent, is the evidence. There's not supposed to even be reasonable doubt. Well, this case is nothing but reasonable doubt as far as that goes, because when you go by, like, what you just did, well, you've done so much more, but I mean, today specifically, right? You do that and you break all that down. Like I've said, like the murder board, right? You put who was where and who said what and who was doing what at what time. And you literally your jaw will hit the floor and go, oh my God, how are all these things going on when it's supposed to be Chris and Chris only? Right? How is it that Atkinson can say to them when she first goes into her interview, oh, well, I went upstairs and the bed sheets were off the bed and on the floor. I don't know if any are missing or anything. Oh, so you're psychic then, because guess what? We found a bed sheet.
Mm-hmm. See, right? I think when they had Shanann's phone was what gave them Nicole Kessinger, and why and how they knew about Nicole Kessinger was actually from Shanann's phone.
Oh, 100%, because not like that phone got handed over to Baumhauer at 3:00, and it left that house at 3:00 and went to get downloaded. So they knew all about Kessinger, because when Chris is at his interview Tuesday night at 8:00, they've got undercovers around her apartment building praying to God he's going to show up there. They
thought he was going to go there,
but he never did.
Mm-hmm. They were all around there, and then
and that's what I said. What makes anybody think? Because even if you're just a private eye, everybody knows that anything to do with law, you're going to wiretap the phones, people. And if the FBI is on this case and interviewing Atkinson and Troy in under 12 hours, there's something up there. Because they didn't even go near Chris yet, and they'd already interviewed those two dingbats twice.
I mean, I think that the circumstances were like, you know, this wasn't just a missing person. This was a missing mom with 2 kids, and she was pregnant.
So why wasn't Chris hauled in sooner then? Why wasn't Chris hauled in Monday?
Monday. No, he was talked to on Tuesday. They were
Tuesday night. That's what
they
I'm
were
saying.
they were there at the house, obviously,
all day.
Once that afternoon.
But what I'm saying though, isn't it not odd
till about 7
that a coworker and the bestie, and they're not even interviewed by Denver or CBI. No, they're interviewed twice by FBI.
Yeah,
in under 12 hours.
They bring in I'm telling you, they were going through Shanann's phone.
Yep.
They were going through Shanann's phone. That's the phone that they had. The phone that they had at that time was Shanann's. They did not have Chris's. Okay. They had Shanann's. And so they were going through Shanann's phone. And I think some of the stuff that they saw on there was, really, because at that point, Nicole Atkinson wasn't saying, people weren't saying, I think she just popped off once and said, why don't you talk about how you're cheating or something like that. But it was very quick, and it was with one of the officers that was, the first responding, and never mentioned again. Like, they they were also still, I believe, in protection and mode. They were also still trying to get their stories right. I mean, Nicole Atkinson lied to police. I mean, she was in that house. She was the last person to physically be in that house. And that's not going to, that's what you're going to have to say to somebody if you were in that home. Like, yeah, I ended up spending the night. Like, it wasn't like, so when I woke up, like, that's like, at some point she gave them that story. And it wasn't until he took the plea deal that they put together her and entered into evidence in discovery, her statements. They weren't going to let that shit slide without, like, they waited. Why didn't they write up a report and type it up? Why did they wait so long to type up her report and her son's report after they were interviewed? It was because they were trying to keep it out of, if you don't type something up and you're not entering it as a report, it's just like a draft. It doesn't exist in anywhere, then it's nothing that you can find yet. So, and this is stuff that obviously, what I'm saying, that the report wasn't entered into. Chris Watts was arrested and had a lawyer in August, and half of August, then you got all of September. Her report was not put in until October, in the middle of that month. And it was after there was already the talks of that this is going to be a plea deal. And so that tells me everything I need to know, because that's not discoverable yet. It wasn't in discovery yet. It was not there. So that was something that couldn't be seen yet. But like I said, I choose that this case, fuck this case. I wish nothing but the best for the Rusick family. I wish nothing but the best for the Watts family. I think that people that attack either one of those families, fucking insanity. People can talk about the case. People can have, theories or whatever, but to attack any one of those people that are in those families is just, doesn't make any sense. And Chris is where he belongs. Chris spoke on it. Chris has lied so many fucking times. Chris has said so many different things. Who gives a fuck what Chris Watts says? Who gives a fuck what Chris Watts wants? Fuck Chris Watts. If anybody wants to know about this case, take Chris Watts out of the equation. Don't play his fucking interviews, and look at everything else. And that would be my suggestion, because I wouldn't give Chris Watts the time of fucking day. And that doesn't mean I wouldn't give his family the time of day. Doesn't mean I wouldn't give, the Rusicks the time of day. But Chris Watts, this does not need to be like, Chris Watts didn't know dick about his life then. Okay. His wife ran his life. He didn't know anything then. He didn't know what was going on. You ask him questions. Oh, I didn't know that. You don't know where your fucking money's going. You don't know that you haven't paid your fucking bills. You ain't no man of the house. You don't know shit. Okay. Fuck you. You have a job to protect your little girls, and you didn't. Period. Okay? That's no man. All right? And then you put your family through living fucking hell. Why did your dad even go out to Denver with me? You know what I mean? For you to be a little bitch boy, fuck you. When you want to cry to me on the phone and say like, Lana, my girlfriend Kim G, somebody told me to go back to her fucking. Who gives a fuck? You think I give a fuck, Chris? Fuck you. I don't care. I don't care if Kim G is getting through. Who the fuck is Kim G? Show your face, get the fuck on here, and go claim your fucking man and give him fucking virtual blowjobs. Fuck you all. That's how I feel. You think I give a shit? Chris Watts, you literally had the audacity to say to me on the phone, don't talk about this stuff online. Fuck you. Who do you think is going to pay for your fucking lawyers unless you get people that want to literally back your family? I don't talk about your shit online. I'm not fucking, I didn't have no YouTube channel back then, Chris. Your little fucking Kimberly Laughman. Your little fucking Kellys of the world. Y'all are crazy, man. You're the one that's picking up your pen and writing to these cuckoo fests. Cadle? Who the fuck is Cadle? You know, my fucking 8-year-old son can write better than him. Bottom line is that you don't give people like that the time of day. Okay? He's a fucking liar. And if he's not lying, he doesn't know the answer because he literally didn't know what's going on with his life. All right? All he cared about was running around the last 6 weeks with, oh my God, he's getting attention. Oh my God, he's being treated nice. Oh my God, he's actually living life. And he realized that he fucking hated his life. Okay? Because he's an outdoors guy. He wants to go to racetracks. He's not doing anything that he, gives a fuck about. He's walking on eggshells with, Shanann. But how it escalated to the point that it did, that there's not a bone in that man's body. All he did was take care of his kids, literally, like all the time. You see nothing but being like a great dad and like literally waited on hand and foot with the girls. So I think it was so hard for people to literally watch that shit on social media and then to ask yourselves, how does a man go from doing that to then doing what you did to your children, which means, you killed them, right? But at first you said that you didn't, but then you refuse to tell your parents the truth. But then one day you do, and your mom and dad call me saying, okay, he finally said that he put his hands around him, but it didn't feel like it was his hands. What the fuck is that shit? Own your fucking shit, you punk. That's how I feel. And his parents shouldn't fucking give him the time of day. You know how many times I told them, who cares if Chris calls you? Who cares? Don't answer. You don't have to answer every time that he calls. Who is he? Go watch your other grandkids play baseball. Go watch them do stuff with their lives. Be grandparents to Jamie's kids, okay? You don't have to answer the phone every time that fucking asshole calls you. Trust me, he'll continue to call. He has nobody else to fucking call. And that was my advice, My advice was to stop talking to people on the internet and that none of these people matter. And if you want the truth, you have the right to request things. Go do some FOIA requests. You're the grandparents. Why don't you apologize to the Rusiks, and maybe some things that you said that you shouldn't have said about Shanann. Who knows? I don't know. But what I witnessed when I was around that family, I want nothing to do with any of that shit. And to think that, I was helping them help their son. Do you think that they would do anything like that for me or you? And I'm sorry, the answer is no, because I witnessed it firsthand. So fuck that case. That's how I feel. But I'll stand by my work, and I'll stand by the fact that the people that were investigating that case, just because Chris Watts is guilty doesn't mean that you get to do whatever the fuck you want with your job. So, So that's it. And I think that people need to move on. Use it if you want to talk about the facts of it and the digital stuff and what came out in Discovery and stuff like that. But that man doesn't deserve a fucking minute of anybody's time. And I hope that the family of the Rusiks, like I said, it's something. I mean, their lives are never going to be the same. The Wattses aren't either. And it's horrible. That's that. Hot Ham Radio. I'm so happy. Hot Ham, hopefully you're doing well. True Tam was like, I can't even stay on the line anymore. Lana's motherfucking the world. No, True Tam. And that, my friend, is what we call closure. I think it's even more than that. What is there? I gave you guys the information, and the information is that if that ever went to court, the prosecution would have got their asses handed to them with the digitals and the lies that they were trying to perpetrate. That's it. And the lies that other people were trying to perpetrate. But at the end of the day, Shanann Watts was dead and Chris wasn't. So somebody killed Shanann Watts, you know what I mean? Somebody killed 2 little baby girls and the unborn baby. Like, you know, Chris Watts is alive. They're dead. But I will say this. If I was to argue the case, I would say that everybody was alive until Shanann Watts came home. And I've always stood by that. I said, what the hell happened once Shanann Watts came home from that trip? Because everybody was alive until Shanann Watts came home from that trip in Arizona. What happened in Arizona? What information was truly uncovered? What was the plan? And, you know, everybody deserves a defense. And the defense would be that Chris was in Colorado with his girls and everybody was alive. Shanann comes home and then within hours, everybody's dead. And that's the only thing that you can say. And do I believe that it was premeditated murder on Chris's end? No, I don't. I don't believe that it was premeditated murder. Okay. Nobody would pile up dead bodies in a GPS truck and take them to their work site where they just went that day and immediately went. Sorry. I feel really bad for 2 little girls because they were the cutest girls, man. And they were smart, very, very smart, very charismatic too. And I'm glad that the families have the memories that they have, you know, with Shanann being online with them, because that's more than a lot of people get. So, if it went to trial, I honestly think that he'd walk just like Casey Anthony. I don't think you're walking. He admitted to killing his wife, you know. I think it's just a matter of what would have come out, you know. And that's what the DA was protecting, in my opinion. So, Bumblebee knows there is no way Chris could ever use any of this to get out of prison. No, to get out of prison, he's not getting out of prison. It's just a matter of if, like, you wanted to say to yourself, Mom and Dad, this is truly what happened. And here, I don't even know what's going on in my life. Like, I snap, man. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, I was just planning on leaving, you know, like she was doing her own thing. I was doing my own thing. But I think people have their opinions about this case and multiple things that make sense, and hence why we are still here. Mike Trevin. Yeah. Great live. Thank you. We're going to wrap this up. As always, to me, it's about truth and transparency. Be transparent. Come with some fucking receipts, and you're going to be golden. You can have your opinions, but when they just don't make any sense, I think then it just takes away from, your opinion, your credibility. Objection overruled. True Tam, keep on dancing. Over. Out.
Hello and welcome to Truth and Transparency. Good afternoon. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Not sure if this is working, but
Today is not a day to celebrate. With the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi.
Take care, Miss Vargas. See you soon, Miss Vargas. Paparazzi, stop.